Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by Cinephiles for Cinephiles. Are you disconnected?
I am not. My bad.
And we're here to continue our series on the Oscar picks. Today we're covering cinematography, a winner of cinematography. I wonder who chose this one.
Was it Shovel?
Was it
It was Shovel. Yeah, in case you didn't know, our podcast has officially been renamed to Three Idiots and a Shovel. I'm Shovel. Nice to meet you.
Still up for debate.
Mr. John Eric Castro.
With the actor's perspective and...
An interesting take because this also won Best Actor. So, we'll talk about that.
What?
Mr. Austin Young.
Howdy.
No. You gotta say hi.
I did say hi.
No, you said howdy.
You better cut to your camera when you do that. Anytime you do something fun, you never cut to your camera.
Yeah.
Anytime you
just
do
hear
something
it.
fun, I'm just going to cut to my camera and leave it on my camera the whole time.
Okay, fine.
Start doing fun things.
Me?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, so that he'll cut to his camera?
Yeah.
Whoa, Carlos, put your pants back on.
Whoa, Mr. Michael Lowe.
Woo! I love this guy.
Yeah, take your shirt off.
Take your top off.
I just bought this shirt.
Like, what's that, Joe's Crab
nice
Shack?
on
You
it.
guys
Yeah,
remember
the
this
Joe's
movie?
Crab
Take your
Shacker.
top off.
Don't take your top off.
Take your top off.
Giving us a cinematography perspective, which we're discussing today.
Yeah, I'm Michael.
That's why he wore a pink shirt today.
Salmon. It's salmon.
It's
Oh, yeah,
salmon.
it is salmon.
Salmon.
Much like
Much like the
Bears.
head, much like the head that Leo chewed off of him.
And what bears eat.
And what bears eat. I'm
Fun
your
fact.
humble film servant, Carlos de la Torre, offering you a writer-directing perspective. This was an interesting...
Who's the one picked this year? Or
The man.
old man?
me.
The
Yep.
old man?
Old man, they called me.
Just going to throw this out there on the directing front. According to a lot of crew members, man, Alejandro Iñárritu lost his shit. Like, it was a horrible shoot, according to a lot of people.
Well, from what aspect? We're like,
Just like, well, I mean, already harsh conditions, right?
Okay, I was
Already
gonna say
hard.
that.
But just like that, he lost his shit on set. And like when they asked him about it, like he fired a bunch of people on set. And stuff.
Really?
And when they asked him about it, he's like, "I'm a director." He's like, "If I'm coming into it like a conductor, if I see an out of tune violin, I'm gonna take it out." Yeah.
which
So
Yeah, I get
intense,
it,
man.
I
I
get
didn't
it.
realize how intense he was on this picture,
intense or detailed? Either way.
and he didn't direct the film for like 7 years after this. So it's got to say something. But yeah, offering that kind of take on the directing, even on this, it must have been a hell.
Yeah, the
I mean,
next thing he did after this was Bardo.
Wow.
Because he had a short and then a Nike commercial and a music
And
video.
I even think the short was just some VR thing.
Carne
Carne Arena.
Where did they shoot this?
Where? Like 5 countries.
5 countries.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting
Uh,
takes that happen. So it was like,
Canada, Argentina, U.S. Sorry.
yeah.
And just because of the cinematography, you
I'm
wanted
sorry.
There's a whole
backgrounds.
kind of bucket of things that happened on the why they had to relocate it.
Oh, wow.
And it inflated the budget. There's a whole thing, man. There's a whole thing. But we'll get into it. Why this film, Lalo, for your Oscar
Well,
pick, for your cinematography
I mean,
Oscar pick specifically?
Emmanuel Lubezki.
Manuel Lubezki, also known as Chivo in the game.
Chivo.
My favorite cinematographer.
Amazing cinematography. Also did Children of Men, if I'm not mistaken.
Children of Men. He
And-
mostly works. He's Mexican cinematographer. He mostly
Yeah.
works with the Three Amigos, as they're so aptly kind of named in Hollywood, which is Guillermo del Toro, Alejandro González Iñárritu, and Alfonso Cuarón. And he's DP'd for all 3 of them on one occasion, except del Toro actually. But he's been friends with them forever. Like he literally went to film school with Cuarón, and they've known each other
Yeah.
since they were kids. So like. But he's worked with like Terrence Malick. He's Terrence Malick's kind of go-to DP. He worked on Cat in the Hat. If that does anything for anybody,
Yeah, I actually liked it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of wonky, but
it's
I
kind of
like it.
wonky.
It's very wonky.
We did Birdman, Gravity.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
those were all Iñárritu pictures. He's kind of been on that. But same deal. He DP'd Terrence Malick's film, Song and Song or Song of Song. And then he had a huge gap before he came back and did something recently. It was a short film, I think, in 2022. He didn't do Roma.
Really?
The Devil's Teeth in development and in post-production on a TV miniseries disclaimer.
With Cuarón. Yeah, he's doing a miniseries with Cuarón, but he hasn't worked on anything since 2017, I think.
Well, I think very contemporarily, a lot of young cinematographers look at Chivo's work.
Yeah.
And I think that's when a lot of people have that spark of realizing what cinematography is and what
Yeah.
it can be. And, you know, there's a lot of different facets, right? There's the facets of like looking at color and lighting and the way somebody will direct those elements. But the one that's easiest to see is movement and how does movement affect the scene and affect the mood. And when you look at Children of Men, I mean, and dissect that film, the camera itself is a character. The camera itself is something that plays into the universe. And what's beautiful about it, and I'm going to touch on Children of Men just for a little bit before we talk about like this film.
If I'm not mistaken, that film didn't even get nominated or didn't win an Oscar, and that fucking cinematography is beautiful.
It's
man.
amazing. But what it
Gorgeous
is
DP work.
the cinematography of like Children of Men and what I admire about it is it explores the world more than it explores just the story, because we're so used to cinematography being like, if on the page it says like man picks up cup, throws it on the ground, and then yells at like his wife to leave the home and never come back.
Right.
Usually what we'll do is that, you know, like a cinematographer and a director will like sit next to each other and we'll be like, okay, in the shot, you probably want like maybe like a close up of his anger, and then you want an insert of the cup shattering, and then you want a medium shot of like the two characters in this argument. And we think, okay, that's how we're going to shoot it. With this type of cinematography style, it's saying what's really going on in the world, what's really drawing us, where are the emotions at in this world. So it's lingering on a conversation that's going on for a while a bunch of other conversations are going on, but then trailing off. And then it's like...
We need to have a whole episode on Children of Men, because really, Children of Men is one of those things that just works in multiple levels, in the sense that the cinematography, sure, beautiful cinematography, but if not carefully made, this film could have turned into a World War Z, I Am Legend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it didn't. It was this beautiful kind of depiction of humanity and what's at risk and how high are the stakes by a pregnancy.
Yeah.
Essentially. I mean, just
But
the film is fucking...
when you watch
ton,
it,
man.
and I mean, the same elements are seen here in the Revenant, but definitely to a higher proficiency. But there's these moments in like Children of Men where you're following the main character as he's walking down this street and he's trying to get to this location, but then the camera will kind of pause and turn to the side, and we'll see the looks on people's faces and the defeat or the anger, the disgust, and we just see the world where then you're drawn into more than just the story. You're drawn into what the environment really feels like. And with the Revenant, I mean, my goodness, there's so many moments where we're not even looking at any main character, and we're just seeing the world around us, and all of the shots, all the compositions, all the subtle movements make it that when it's cold, you feel the cold. When it's warm, you feel the little bits of warmth on your fingers. I mean, they knew how to capture
something in there.
Beautiful.
Because I'm going to have a big question for you about Chivo's work at the end of the podcast. I want to end with that question. And I want to spend some time talking about it, because I think Chivo is special in the sense that he found his voice really early on. And if you didn't check out the episode that we did with fellow cinematographer, what's his name? He's a director now. He did like Water for Chocolate with Chivo, and I'm sure we'll get his name. Yeah. But he Bernstein. Bernstein. I forgot his first name. I'm sorry. But Steve Bernstein. Steve Bernstein was on this podcast, and he talked to us about working on a bunch of shit, man. He did a lot of comedy. He did White Chicks, and he did The Water Boy, I think. And but he also did Mother, which got an Academy Award for Charlize Theron. And but one of his early works was like Water for Chocolate, and it was Chivo's first co-DP job. And he told us on this podcast that, I asked him, I was like, you got to work with Chivo before he was even Chivo. What was that like? And he said, he knew. We all knew. Like, we knew he had a voice. We knew he was going to do something. Like, you just knew this kid had something. And sure enough, I think he shot half of that film and got hired for his first big gig. But I really do think that Chivo's early work show his voice very clearly. What I like to call it is this like Mexican realism and cinematography. It's almost like seeing news reports on Juarez news stations.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That follow-through stuff can be interpreted as gimmicky, which is kind of part of the question that I want to ask you later. But when Chivo does it, man, Chivo makes this camera so beautifully choreographed and intentional that when I saw Y Tu Mamá También, which we talked about in this podcast, you saw his voice. And that was one of his early films, you know. And I think since Y Tu Mamá También, he really captured that. He really captured what he wanted to do as a storyteller. And he didn't take the foot off the pedal for it in terms of style.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to develop this. I'm going to develop my voice. People have been stealing from him since, dude. Like, just like every camera is a character film. I'm going to make the camera have movement. Is usually not done with intentionality. Not Chivo, man. Or not anybody that's emulated Chivo, like Rodrigo Prieto, or like anybody who's like either worked in tandem with him or they're friends or they just respect each other. They're going to use quote unquote Chivo techniques the same way he does, but only he can do it in the entire picture, I think. And that's special, man.
I saw a couple of shots in this one that reminded me. It came out in 2016, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a couple of shots that I saw that I was like, hey,
2015, I think.
2015.
2015.
Speak.
You know where I saw it the most, and this is where I'll kind of close this kind of arc of what I think Chivo is. He didn't DP Shape of Water. And Shape of Water feels like Chivo's cinematography. And it's one of the only films that when they do use movement in the camera, it feels right. And I think that that's attributed to him and what he created as a cinematographer. That's why I love his work so much, man. Shape of Water feels like a musical, and there's not a piece of music sung in that film, but because of the camera work. And floating, essentially a floating camera used in the most stylized way. Chivo, I think, knows how to use that floating camera, not in magical realism or in realism, but in harsh realism. Things that are going to be like The Revenant, things are going to be like Y Tu Mamá También. What you brought up about him, camera turning in Children of Men, we see it in Y Tu Mamá También when the body's on the street and with the cars passing.
It's a really popular moment.
Just stuff like that, or even when they're on the road and we see a shadow of a hill that they start talking about in the film. So like, it's really special, man. Nobody has replicated Chivo's
I'm
work,
starting to appreciate his work.
his voice, and The Revenant was not only a challenge technically, but he won 3 consecutive Oscars, okay? Chivo won for Best Cinematography for Gravity, Birdman, and then The Revenant. Only cinematographer to do that in Oscar history, to win 3 in a row. And each film is uniquely different, but each film is built upon. The difference here is, in The Revenant was shot all with natural light. All of it, except one scene that he admitted to.
Which one?
One of the bonfire scenes that the fire, the light off the fire was giving this weird lens with the cold. It just wasn't working, so they had to put bulbs all around the fire just to light, I think, Tom Hardy's face. But other than that, all natural light. This thing took 90 days to shoot because of it. Because they only had a short window of natural light that they were going to have.
3 months?
Well, then also, what is it called? Like, you see certain moments that are shot like either early
longer.
morning or like late at night, and they are really hitting these like perfect moments where you can only film at that time of day. You got 1 or 2 takes in you to get that shot. Afterwards, the lighting changes entirely, and you have to completely rethink what you're going to be filming.
And talk about compromising, because it was originally they were going to shoot on film. They were going to shoot on film and digital. They decided to opt for digital because it would give them 1 hour of exposure longer.
Yeah.
That's why they decided to shoot on digital. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna. You said you were gonna wrap up after that thought, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I just wanted to say before we go too far on a tangent, this is still part of an Oscar series, and
I already said that.
no, I know, but what I was gonna bring up was if we wanted to talk anything about this year's nominations.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year's nominations, let me pull up the list again.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure we didn't get too far in
Yeah.
before
No,
we start talking about it.
I'm trying to think of the. I know.
Who's got
Matthew
a name?
Libatique for Maestro has got a nod.
Libertech.
I love Matty Libatique, man. I like him a lot. I think he's one of those next guys who's really developed his voice really
Give me a
special.
couple of films that he's done.
He's did A Star Is Born. He did Maestro. Before that, he did. I think he did Babel.
Maybe.
Okay.
He's done a few
that's
impressive
pretty far behind.
films.
Ready? We have El Conde by
I've
Edward
heard so many good things about that.
Lachman. Killers of the Flower Moon, Rodrigo Prieto. Maestro by Matthew Lipotic. Oppenheimer by Hoyt van Hoytman.
Yeah, Hoyt.
And Poor Things by Robbie Ryan.
Hoyt's been Nolan's guy for a little while now.
He's starting to be his
Yeah, Hoyt
I
van
mean,
Hoytman. He was Spielberg's guy for a little bit there too. Actually, he's good.
It's such a big toss-up with a lot of these films because Oppenheimer, Killers, and Maestro, these super long, super complex films, all, I mean, display feats of intentionality, emotion, making the camera convey so much.
Yeah.
And I think, like, we just rewatched Killers recently, and I rewatched Maestro today and got to see the shots, and oh my goodness, it's just such a... It's such a hard choice because you can see so many people at the top of their careers. Just
I'd really like Maestro to take it. I would really, really, really like Maestro to take it.
Maestro had a lot of moments similar to this.
Yeah.
Similar to Chivo's work
Yeah.
in the sense that, like, it really does know how to pause on certain moments and float around, and you can see it in all the orchestral scenes.
Especially in a musical space, right? In the theater.
The moments when,
Yeah.
I mean, in Maestro, they use more cuts, but those moments where you're floating around, seeing where the main emotion's coming from, and then how it's affecting the environment and everybody else.
Rodrigo Prieto, don't get me wrong, did amazingly. I think Maestro should take it. However, I don't know how to feel
I need to
about.
see Oppenheimer again.
Yeah. I think Poor Things is it's a weird one. It belongs there, but Poor Things has a very creative palette on all accounts, and especially in production design. But I don't think it did anything super special in cinematography. I think it is between the three front runners are definitely Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Maestro. I would really love to see Matty Libatique take it. He also did Darren Aronofsky stuff.
Oh, really?
So he did The Well. He did Black Swan. That cinematography in Black Swan is
From
terrific.
those three that you said, it seems like Maestro's the only one that kind of went a little different.
Okay.
From what I seen from the trailers, it didn't do anything different from the other two. Because the other two,
No, definitely did. All three of them are
So
they all stand out.
Oh yeah.
they all stand out.
From
They all
the
have
outside,
their
it looks like Maestro did its own thing.
Maestro. Just there's moments where when it's nothing mundane, like when it's something that really, like, they can
Aesthetically.
explore the space and really breathe. That's where the cinematography shines. In a lot of the moments when he's actually, like, directing an orchestra and the camera is able to just breathe and go through the space, because for the film they really want you to sit with the songs, and in those moments you have a myriad of options to choose from on, like, how do you want to film it. And
Yeah.
those are the moments where you see the most creative freedoms taken with the cinematography, as well as, like, there's like there's a dance club moment that has some
was a
very
little weird.
interesting shots. But I mean, those are the moments that really make what the whole film's going to encapsulate into.
This is why I feel like Bradley not getting nominated for directors is even adds more to the argument, because again, where do you put the divide, right? Matty Libatek's style is great. He's a great cinematographer. He's an amazing cinematographer. I think he's one of the best living today. Like, I really do. But for instance, the Wonder in the Cathedral, right? Big cinematography moment.
Right.
When I was hearing interviews with Bradley Cooper essentially says, yes, Matty Libatique killed. He killed it, right? We designed the shot, et cetera, et cetera. But that wasn't even the plan. The plan initially was to shoot this thing static. And then they couldn't get something going. So they couldn't get something going. So what ended up happening is they had a techno crane outside the church ready to go for a night shot that they were going to do. And Bradley's like, let's just use the techno crane. They ended up wheeling the techno crane into the thing and ended up going that route.
So are you complaining that they didn't use the shot that Bradley wanted? Or
No, I'm
is it
saying
like
that Matty
the final product
essentially hadn't even thought about that.
Well,
it was
but
Bradley's thought, Bradley's
okay,
intuition as a
okay.
director to say, I want it like
'cause-
this now. And then,
For as well put together as the film is, it's a big surprise that Bradley wasn't nominated for, like,
So
a
is it
direct-
that?
is what?
That it's a surprise that Bradley was able to.
It's because it's a
partner up with
marriage,
this
dude.
good
It is a
DP.
marriage, right? Like Bradley
Yeah,
married with Matty Libatique.
DP,
Even the A Star Is Born. I think that's probably, beside Bradley's character and his performance, I think that's probably the best thing about that film is the cinematography. shooting like the stage scenes and the concert scenes and then the beauty and the backyard stuff. For I mean, it's beautifully shot. And by the way, Bradley credits his cam ops too. By the way, steady cam operators, A cam and B cam. Like he credits them too. But
you have to.
but it's a weird question again. I'll just throw this out there. Matty Libatique is starting to be a guy who has his voice and has had his voice for a little while, and like can make his light shine despite how great a director is. Chivo's the only other guy I think can do that as efficiently, because Roger Deakins, as amazing as a cinematographer as he is, he gets outshined by the director, whoever he's working with. Ooh. Robbie Robertson too, and I love Robbie Robertson. He's probably like my second
I've never
favorite
heard
cinematographer.
this,
but not Chivo. Chivo's there with his stylistically with his
And
director.
Honestly,
I like
Matty
this. I
Libatique,
never
you know, yeah.
And honestly, like now that let's round back into the Revenant.
Yeah.
If you look at this film, God, I mean, you can't. You are so aware that it's the camera and the cinematographer at play when it comes to crafting these moments, because on paper, there's a very basic way to shoot this. If you think, especially like film school days, there's coverage, right? So all the dialogue that happens between like Tom Hardy's character and the rest of the team that's there, the coverage would tell you, no, we're going to have Hardy go through the motions and then probably put a static cam, a wide of all these, like let him get it all out and move through the space in the wide, then punch in for a medium or a close-up once he pauses, and then let's just sit there with him for a while and then return back to the wide. And that's what you would do. That's what you think, like, oh, that's how we're going to cover the scene. Okay. And then the cinematographer would think about how do we color it? How do we light it? In this one, it's like, no, I'm going to decide the beats that go into each moment. I'm going to say that the camera's going to start here, float across. Let's not even focus on who's talking. Let's focus on the worn out faces, the captain who's looking around this place, trying to come up with the map. Let's go back to Leo's character, and he's polishing, and then go straight into Tom Hardy's face, and now the composition's really aggressive. It's you could tell that this cinematographer is one that designs every moment and beat, and then when the film's edited and put together, it's his voice that's standing out above all else, you know?
Beautiful.
So yeah, I think that's a big reason why I chose this film, is just because it's an Oscar where Oscars do, and again, we talked about this is like the last one that he did for a while after getting like back-to-back Oscars.
I have a correction, by the way. I think he did do one with David O. Russell. I saw the picture. Didn't even feel like Chivo, if I'm being honest. It was called Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, with Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Really, he did that?
It
DP'd
wasn't
that.
up to par.
I mean, the film wasn't.
I remember
it wasn't as bad as people were making it out to me. People were talking a lot of shit about it. I streamed it. It was fine. It
was all right.
It was pretty decent. David Washington, I think, is also in the picture.
He's all right.
He's all right.
I just remember,
but the DP work didn't do anything for me.
There was nothing.
I didn't even know that was Chivo, and that's rare when you don't know it's Chivo.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Amsterdam didn't really, but David O. Russell's weird, man. He's been in a weird funk. I love that director a lot, man. I rewatched Silver Linings Playbook recently. He's a fucking phenomenal director, man. He used to be one of my early guys that I really, really liked.
I forgot about that movie. That's definitely my top 20.
Yeah. Silver Linings is terrific.
I think I cried.
Especially you guys like love football and superstition and all that shit. But David O. Russell, I don't know where he's been at, man. Just like, I don't know. Amsterdam didn't do much for me, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, that's the last thing Chivo shot. It's 2022, and it did take him how long? 7 years to do that?
To do that one?
Well, I mean, to do another one.
To do another one.
Which is weird because he didn't shoot Roma. He was off shooting probably that or something else, but that's why Cuarón decided to do it. But Cuarón almost Cuarón DP'd Roma. Almost shot it like Chivo. Almost. But he did something even more, I wouldn't say groundbreaking, but very unique. He wanted Roma to feel like an old photograph for the entire picture.
Yeah, I've heard that. He
stayed static for the most part in this picture and just did pans. That's long pans that worked. That as this panoramic, you know, and that's not something Chivo particularly does. You know, so he basically talked to Chivo and was like, okay, I think I'm just going to end up shooting it. What do you think, A, B, C, or D? And Chivo was like, I'm not going to tell you, just go do it. You know, and Roma was fucking gorgeous, dude. Gorgeous picture. I mean, gorgeous cinematography. So, but Chivo has a voice, man. Chivo knows how to utilize his voice, even when he's just giving somebody else advice, right? So yeah, I think he's a very special cinematographer, and I hope. I don't know. Is it bad to say I don't like Terrence Malick's work? I don't. I tried. I've tried very many.
For the people that don't know,
Terrence Malick did like the last one that I saw of his was the Song in Song. It's got Ryan Gosling in it. He's a very experimental guy, man. Like I just don't dig it. Chivo loves working with him, so Chivo has worked with him consistently. But I don't know, man. I think Chivo shines when he's working with Cuarón or Iñárritu, man. I don't know. Any pictures I've seen outside of them, I don't know. Is it safe to say that that it has to be them two together? I don't know. They can survive outside of each other. But I really love to see them together, man. Him collaborating with those two directors for
Shaq
me.
and Kobe right there.
Yeah.
Well, to continue the conversation, ratings up on the board.
Ratings on the Revenant.
I'd like to go counterclockwise this time. So, Carlos, would you please give us your rating on The Revenant? Starring
Damn, I haven't even
Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio. Man, I remember loving this picture.
Oh no.
That's how you gotta rate it.
I remember loving it. The first time I saw it. I was working at Tractor Supply when this film came out, and I remember Sandra and I screening it. I think it came out Christmas Day. I think it was one of our Christmas films. And I love Iñárritu naturally because he's a Mexican director and always want to champion that. And I loved Birdman but I remember loving The Revenant more than Birdman for the longest time. Now I feel the other way around. I think I love Birdman more than The Revenant. And I think it's just because this film, though very special and on the technical front, very, very, very hard to do and very intentional and very symbolic. I've seen better work from everybody involved except Tom Hardy. And that's got to say something. I've seen better work involved from Chivo. I've seen better work involved from Iñárritu. I mean, even Bardo, man. I think Bardo's a better picture. Bardo's fucking insanely well.
Hold on. Then give me your second best picture of Tom Hardy.
Second best of Tom Hardy, probably Warrior.
Damn,
What about
that is pretty good.
the one he did in the car?
Driveway Lock was pretty good. I didn't.
Nah, that one doesn't really.
It was fine. I
Doesn't
didn't
really pop
do
his-
much for me.
yeah.
But performance-wise, I mean, for him.
Okay, I just want to see where you were at. Like,
Yeah, I
this
think
is-
probably Warrior's my second favorite Tom Hardy performance. This one for me is top notch, man. Tom Hardy killed in this one, literally. But thank you, Austin, for laughing at my joke.
I know. Someone did. At least.
So yeah, I just feel like better work has been done from all of these collective kind of storytellers. And we the big one that we talked about tonight and that everybody talks about is even Leo's performance, right? He won an Oscar for this thing and he's done better
Oscar.
performances. First Oscar, first and only Oscar. But before all of those reasons and more, I think I put this film somewhere at an 8.9.
Oh wow! I thought you were going a little lower from everything you were
No,
saying.
I'm about an 8.9. It's still a terrific picture. It still has an arc. It's another one of those plot films that I can endure. It's a good plot film. It's a really I mean endure a plot film.
No,
'Cause
yeah,
I
yeah.
rarely
I
don't.
know
I really
exactly.
don't entertain it. It is character development, but it's so well intertwined with the plot that it works. Do I think this film is as groundbreaking as I thought in 2015? No, I don't. I think better pictures have been made by all of them. And I still think it's a phenomenal picture, but it's one of those films that's only remembered by people, in my opinion. If you're not, I don't think this film is revered as much as it used to be by cinephiles. I don't hear people talking about it anymore, unless you're talking about the cinematography.
I heard it from the get-go, like, Leo just deserved it. He really...
Yeah.
At this point, not for this
Yeah.
one, but at this point.
No, yeah, that was a collective conversation. The reason I brought up Tractor Supply is because the night of the Oscars that year, I worked and I ran home just to catch Leo. Like I ran to Sandra's house actually, and we turned on the Oscars and it was like, oh, okay, it's best actor, and yeah, sure enough, I was rooting for him. But I also like, I think even I thought I was like, it was just time. It's his token Oscar. It's not his true Oscar. I probably would have given it to him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for or Wolf of Wall Street over this one. But yeah, I think I'm at 8.9. I don't think this film is. Its technical standouts are amazing, but we've talked about how cinema is a marriage on all concentrations, right? Everything has to work in tandem, and it does. But not groundbreakingly. Not something that I'm going to be thinking about, or I haven't thought about it.
Same.
Since I haven't had an innate desire to revisit it. If I do revisit this film, I want to revisit it in the theater setting like we did tonight because of its technical kind of aspects.
Good call.
Outside of that, I don't find myself pondering on this film farther than meets the eye. And Iñárritu tried really hard, even on the symbolism, on the commentary of racial components and the commentary on this country, and it's all fine and dandy. I just don't know that it did to me what Birdman did to me, or what Babel, or what Amores Perros. Those fucking films are fried in my brain, man. But The Revenant, I just said Bardo, dude. Bardo, holy fucking shit, man. But which is what you want to do. This is only. I think he's only done 6 films, man. This was his 6th film, so he's done 7 films. Iñárritu. And it's what you want to see from a director that you really admire. You want to see them grow, and I've seen them grow. I've seen them grow out of The Revenant, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not quite Walter Mitty. I still enjoy this picture. I still think it has a ton of merit. But if I'm being honest, I think most of its merit lies with cinematography. And when it's a picture that lives with you, that really is all encompassing, it shouldn't be that. It should be everything. I think there's certain elements of the film that I kind of get past pretty quickly. So 8.9.
Well, that was a lot.
It always is.
True.
For me, you know me, man. I'm a sucker for survivalist films.
Yeah.
Especially like Man vs. Nature. I mean, this film had everything, right? Beautiful cinematography is beautiful, storytelling.
When you hear that groan, you know.
No, I really liked it. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to like take in everything you said. Like, I see it from other perspective.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining. I was very immersed.
Very performance-heavy film, by the way.
narrative.
Stupidly heavy performance.
Yeah. And
Performance heavy.
yeah, I mean, just talking about Leo's character, man, his performance. The way he dove into this character, I mean, mentally and physically, I mean, even though he didn't say much, his silence, it's one of those characters that you can see every grunt, like you're saying, every groan, every...
I want to ask you about that. I do want to ask you about that because most people's arguments for the people who argue that he rightfully has an Oscar for this. I'm not saying he does. I'm saying that people that argue that he does, say that it's because it's his most nonverbal performance. So when you can do something, you don't have to depend on the words to perform.
What about Gilbert Grape?
He talks a lot.
He talks way more in this one.
Really?
He talks way more in what?
And Gilbert.
In Gilbert Grape, yeah. There's a total of 10 minutes of dialogue from Hugh Glass in this film.
Oh, wow.
From 10 minutes of a 2.5 hour picture. Oh, 2.5, right? 2.5. 10 minutes. So a lot of people's arguments. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. I mean,
Do you think he deserved the Oscar? First off, what was he up against that year?
he
He was up against Bryan Cranston in Trumbo,
Oh, that was a good performance.
Matt Damon in The Martian,
Not as good, but really good.
Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs,
Oh, that was terrific.
and
Nah.
Eddie Redmayne in The Danish Girl.
I haven't seen the
I haven't
Danish,
seen that one.
but I like Eddie Redmayne. Maybe he did deserve it along that lineup.
I don't know. Damon was
fuck, I
pretty
was-
good.
Who?
Damon was pretty good.
Oscar good?
Look,
I have a really weird relationship with The Martian. I love it. I love that movie. It's probably my favorite Ridley Scott film.
hold on.
Did you like Arrival more?
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
No.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, Matt, it lingered in the line of blockbuster, big picture, and good merited film, right? And Matt Damon's performance falls under that category for me. Like, it was great, but was it Oscar good?
Didn't you crave potatoes watching it though?
Absolutely. I'm grown in my own shit too. Now, I probably would have given it to Michael Fassbender over to Leo.
Well, look, before you even had to say that, it's kind of hard to give somebody an Oscar when he was outperformed.
Yeah,
I like Tom
He's got a
Hardy's
point.
character a little bit more.
I think most people would agree with you,
Even
including
though,
everybody in
yes,
this room.
this was, a beautiful way to, tell a story through the, the lens of an actor, right? This is like, you're right up there.
Actor galore, right?
Yeah, like he's saying, like, right, those shots that you go really deep into, just on his face.
Where you
or
see
whatever.
the breath on the lens, literally,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
I
just-
want to talk about more of the cinematography elements, but we'll get to that right now.
Yeah, just as an actor, I mean, I always wonder, like, what did he do? Like, did he actually fight a bear? No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, did he go out in the cold and, what did he experience?
Okay, wait. I'm gonna pull a Coster. I gotta ask,
Gotta ask. These are all these things that I'm always questioning.
and they're good questions for process.
Yeah, process.
As an actor, but when we get down to the nitty gritty of performance, does any of that matter?
What do you mean?
Iñárritu has this kind of ideal when it came to making this picture, right? He wanted to limit CGI. Essentially, the only things that are CGI in this film are the animals.
Right.
So, except the pigs, by the way. I looked at it.
They were real?
The pigs were real. Everything else was not.
I wonder why they were
when
wasting.
And the
Leo,
horses.
When Leo and the horse fell, you could tell that was CGI.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. of
Oh,
course.
when they fall,
Yeah,
yeah.
of
yeah.
course.
But he wanted, dude, this thing ballooned to a $135 million budget from an original $60 million budget. I mean,
I mean,
that's
they
kinda
made
what I-
like quadruple their money.
yeah,
back
it made 500 and change, right?
then. 532 mil.
So, my question on the performance front is,
Does the environment...
Iñárritu essentially says, like, everybody that signed up for this film knew how hard of an ordeal was going to be. Because if I was going to shoot this thing blue screen and everybody was going to have their cup of coffee and be happy, it probably would have been a happy shoot, but it would have been a shitty film.
No. We got to
So-
chop it down to this.
It's all fine, right? It's all fine and dandy.
Throw 'em in the jungle.
Apocalypse Now is regarded as one of the best films of all time because of it. Okay,
Right.
Coppola did the same thing in the jungles.
Throw them on, yeah.
Probably took the same amount of time, if not longer. I think Coppola shot there for a year. Does it matter?
Yes.
'Cause
us-
should it inform your opinion of the performance just because you know what they went through? I don't think it should.
No. I'm not judging you by that. I'm
Yeah,
judging
yeah.
it
No,
just
no,
because
I think,
from an actor's aspect.
Yeah.
But in order to make it believable, just for a
Performance.
general, just for
Nitty gritty performance.
for a general audience, yes, you have to be in those environments just to show, like,
It takes you somewhere else. I feel like you get something different because
You do.
Like,
Yeah.
look at what you were talking about right now. The blue screen, shooting everything CGI, being in a very comfortable environment.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like action sequences that come out of like Marvel's films, right?
Yeah.
Where there are these big battle scenes and people fighting for their life. I mean, look at like a Endgame or one of those, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's these gritty battles and all that. But you can tell how tame it probably
Yeah,
is.
how low stakes.
behind the scene. Like then that's where the punches don't feel genuine. The like big moments don't feel big.
Did you- yeah.
But like for this one, I feel like just being in the environment, the actual elements of the cold and like the being hungry and being out there and all that,
Yeah.
I feel like merit goes to the sheer challenge of trying to get like that kind of performance out of
I
somebody.
have this issue
Because
with
the
it,
thing
man.
is-
I
yeah,
have
I agree.
I have an issue with that mentality. I have a little bit of an issue because I agree with you. I do think it creates
puts you
an
in
environment for a better performance,
Yeah.
perhaps. Right? I agree with it. I have a hard time processing that alone, or not that alone, but that contributes to the majority of you getting a good performance out of an actor.
I think that can also be
How
done.
could it not?
No, but it can also be done and then like be bad. I mean, we talked to an actor recently who talked about he was on an indie film where they went out in the forest and they were cold and hungry and all that,
Yeah.
and they shot the picture out there. And that picture, I mean, it's not like anything it's not like we're hearing about the performance or everything that came out of that picture, even though it was tough. I mean, a
Right.
lot of people can do things that are tough and difficult to shoot, but not a lot comes out of it.
Look,
But-
let me just put it to you this way. This is just coming as a director. And
Yeah.
this is why I really want to ask these questions, because as a director, sure, man, if you have the resources to pull something like that off, cool. But you're talking to a guy who just shot a film with 2 people in a room and had to be as compelling,
Yeah,
if
but-
not more. You have to
But
convince
the script,
people.
the story, this was a totally different story.
But you have to convince people more. My point is, when you're shooting in those types of environments, isn't it kind of an easy sell? And I'm not saying it's cheating. I'm not saying it's diminishing the process at all, but it's easier to sell a survival picture and sticking Leo in the middle of snow and
For
winter,
authenticity.
as opposed to sticking him in a room with one more
But I
person
mean,
and
that's-
selling a performance.
To me, I feel like that's what makes
you,
cinema.
You as a filmmaker, you would be cool with that?
With what?
With Leo just in a room of fake forest?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
What
What
are
I'm
you
saying is that what I'm saying is that there's a difference in processes of shooting something like The Revenant, but it's an easy sell. It's easy to sell his performance. It's easy to sell his performance versus because of his environment, because he's fighting a fucking bear and he's eating a
I
fish.
don't understand how you say easy sell.
It's an easy sell. If
Meaning,
you see a
like-
trailer, if a general audience member sees a trailer of The Revenant versus the trailer of What's Eating Gilbert Grape, for instance, they're gonna go see The Revenant. It's an easy, and then they're gonna walk out saying that performance, because the film was so immersive that his performance is easily bought. Which is
It
why I
just
think
adds.
everyone disagrees that he should have won an Oscar, because his performance was easily bought. Whereas if I stick Leo in a room with Kate, what's her name from Titanic?
Kate Beckinsale?
Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
If I stick him in the room with Kate Winslet for Revolutionary Road, that's harder to sell, man. That's harder to make, to prove that you're an actor, I think.
But I mean, I
that's
feel
just
like
a
that's
that's left field and right field, I guess. I don't
that's
know
the
how to say it.
conversation of cinema, man. I mean, I feel like the films that we see that have merit, there was some kind of challenge behind them. There was some kind of thing that they had to overcome to create that film, and all the elements came together in just the right way. Just like we're talking about how this one won Best Cinematography for the technical aspects and the technical challenge, then we're also applauding the challenge on everybody's part.
And it
but-
is.
but
It's
I don't think-
admirable. It's admirable when a film crew can go out for 90 days and shoot in fucking cold temperatures and
Yes,
and
but
be
the
against the
marketing
time
is-
clock.
And I think-
it's hard. It's admirable as a film crew, but as a director-actor relationship, we're gonna have a hard. I think we're gonna have a hardship creates good performance by most people's accounts, right?
So you're
If
saying
I
since
starve
Leo got-
myself, if I'm Heath Ledger and I lock myself in a hotel room and I give myself hardship so that I can pull off the Joker, my Brokeback Mountain
see what you're
performance
saying.
isn't going to be as appreciated.
I see what
and
you're
that's
saying.
what I mean. It's an easier sell to read on the news. Heath Ledger locked himself in a fucking room and then he ended up killing himself because of this role. Then he did one of probably the best performance of his career. Nobody cares about it anymore.
Okay.
That's what bugs me about.
No, okay, I'll give you this.
the-
Best and last.
It might not make sense, but when I did see the Revenant and Leo won it, I was kind of like, because he just fought a bear.
Yeah.
Yes, I did have that when I first saw it. But no, thinking about it, me from an actor's perspective, it's not a cheap sell. It's just
I didn't say it was a cheap sell. I said it was an easy sell. It's
sell.
an easy sell to buy that performance because you're already kind of living it, right?
Dude, I think you just
I'm
gotta.
trying to find
Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. His performance in Apocalypse Now versus his performance in The Godfather. It's harder to an extent.
it's just too different.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying. Like it's harder just
Yeah.
a man and a paper. Instead of a man with a bear.
Yeah.
Obviously that one's gonna. I understand that,
Yeah.
but
I think you just have to give applause where applause is due.
there
I
we
feel
go.
like
I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, I feel like there's gonna be moments when you watch
Yeah.
a film and on paper it's the easiest thing in the world to get done. I mean, look at The Whale, right? Look at The Whale for its performance where
Absolutely.
sure it's one room and you're just exploring that one space and the actor needs to in that film both physically and emotionally fill the space, and you need to be they need to be the anchor that they're controlling the scene.
Yeah.
And in there, you're going to be giving Brendan a Best Actor award because of what he did for something that was on paper easy to shoot. Now, for this one, again, the easy sell. You're putting your actors in the environment. You're putting everybody through these kind of stakes, and then afterwards, it's kind of like, wait, so you did all that? Sure, it's going to be easy to kind of like say that, oh, just because you went out in a real environment, multiple countries, freezing cold. I remember a big tagline like Leo had to like literally eat a fish just to like get that Oscar, but. I mean, you know, give the guy his like flowers. Give the guy his like moment to say like.
This is what I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
It probably is a cheap sell. What are you saying? A cheap,
Easy sell.
an easy sell, but it worked
Did it?
because everything communicated perfectly. It could have been a horrible performance. It could have been somebody that doesn't know how
It could have been
Okay.
you know, never experienced how to had a bear attack, but
Yeah. The reason I asked that too, the reason I think the only reason I think that this Leo performance worked is because, and you've said this too, Castro, in the past, when you've seen him in other roles, when you see Leo, he's too pretty for this role. He's too pretty for that role. For this one, he wasn't. For this one, he pulled it off, right? For this one, you do get lost in the Leo sauce, in the proverbial Leo sauce, right? I don't... How far away can you get from Hollywood, right? Leo got far away from Hollywood to be able to pull this performance off.
I think he got a little more far away from Flowers of Killer Moon.
You know what he's saying? I think what I'm hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that
I meant that in the good way, by the way, for the Revenant.
I don't know, but I'm
for
saying
the Revenant.
I feel like what you think, and I you know, there is a level that I agree with you. You could have done the exact same setting, same environment, same challenge and everything.
Yeah.
But plucked a different actor, pop one in, and they would have gotten the exact same Oscar pandering.
Probably.
Yeah.
At least the same Oscar consideration.
Because I remember we used to
That's
ask...
what's unfair, dude. Let's this. Everybody knows this. Leo is my favorite actor of all time. He is. I've said that very openly forever.
I'm trying to think who would.
He has been. So it sounds like I'm talking a lot of shit about Leo, but no, I've seen better things from these performers. So it's a challenge, right? It's me challenging why this film got so much love, why this performance got so much love.
Have we ever seen a bear attack in a film?
They actually modeled the one from here in the 1971 film, modeled from the same novel.
From the same novel?
Yeah, not
Okay, so once.
No. I mean, there's been quite a few instances, I think, but not like this. Not like this.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
thing is, I mean, you know, of course, if again, this is a role that for a lot of people you could have plucked out Leo and put anybody in, and because of the challenge of it, sure, I do think that they would have gotten an Oscar nod.
Christian Bale was in line for this role in 2010.
Damn it! I think he could have pulled it off.
And I think I dare I say he probably would have been a better actor for it.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I'm not saying Leo was miscast.
No, he pulled it off.
He pulled it off.
I think you just gotta like give applause to like whoever did go through it, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
exactly.
at the end of the day, he went through it.
He did.
And at the end of the day, I think that's what matters because the production of this film, and that's why, you know, it got multiple awards and it got multiple applause from like different areas.
Yeah.
And it's just filmmaking's a challenge, man. And I feel like everybody could recognize the challenge that these people went through on all departments.
On every caveat, I'm gonna challenge you guys on this film because I think it's, from the sounds of it, everybody has a greater appreciation for this film than I do.
Yeah.
So I want to challenge why. I'm not challenging you as an individual. I'm challenging the mindset of that because most people will agree with you guys on how much of a cinematic victory this film was. And on multiple levels, I think it does. But we're on the acting right now, right? Which is why I'm wondering. Everybody and their mother agrees that Tom Hardy was the better actor in this film. Shit. What's his name? The kid. Will Holter, or what's his name?
Yeah.
He's pretty damn good in this film, too.
Yeah.
Domhnall Gleeson, man. Not Domhnall Gleeson. Domhnall Gleeson, right? The guy that plays
is a Bridger, and then Domhnall Gleeson's the captain.
Domhnall Gleeson as the captain, man.
Oh, the captain, yeah.
Yeah, I love him as an actor. I've loved him since About Time, man. He's a terrific actor.
Dude, that's where I remember from.
Yeah. He's a good actor.
I like him from Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, yeah. He's really good, man. Everything he does. But my point is, Tom Hardy's always the standout in this regard. Do you agree?
Yeah. Just because, look, coming back to that point, it's like everybody was expecting a championship, and he delivered the championship.
Did he?
Yes.
Okay, wait, real quick.
So then that means that
It's
you.
like everybody expected, like, oh, okay, it's a easy sell. You know, Leo.
Okay,
bear
I
attack,
understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
But he got the championship. You
Yeah.
know, everybody expected the champion. He still delivered.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could put it in better words.
No.
More
You're right.
entertaining
No, I
words.
understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. He delivered. He delivered. He did. He got
delivered.
hired for a job and he did it. As much of a
But
quote
I'll
unquote.
give you this. I would love to have seen Christian
Christian Bale.
Bale.
I think
As-
also, as far as like the acting kind of like piece of this film, your sentiments, I think, are the kind that you would love to applaud more the actors that's able to do more with less
Yes.
than the one who was able
Yes.
to do enough with
more with more.
Yeah.
Or enough with more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But why are you?
I'm not diminishing it. I don't think it's a less.
I know you're not, but it kind of
But it
like.
sounds like.
Yeah,
No, but
kinda-
that's
you're
your
kinda-
sentiment.
That's
you know?
just how I
Sentiment,
feel.
uh-huh.
That's how I feel as a
Like-
storyteller. Like I'm going to applaud an actor who puts me in the room. I'm gonna sound like an asshole. I'm gonna applaud an actor like Brendan Fraser that can put me in the room of the whale without Darren Aronofsky having to do much. Whereas in the Revenant, Iñárritu and Chivo put me in the film, not Leo.
Really?
Yes,
Like,
they
again-
immersed me in the world, not Leo.
You would have.
They immersed me in the world. Iñárritu and Chivo immersed me in their world. Leo was a part of the world. He didn't immerse me in it. He was a part of the world. Dear God,
But-
cut this out. I might meet this man, and I'm talking so much shit about him. Anyways,
Yeah, I was about to say something.
but no, bringing it back to that, it's exactly what the law was saying. I want
okay.
I want to applaud those performers who can do less with more.
But okay,
Or
but we're
do
saying
more
like,
with less.
I don't know if this is gonna sound kind of weird, but what if that was like the best script at the time?
For Leo?
So it's kind of saying like,
Well,
I mean,
that's
he's
the,
doing.
that's the weird thing about the Oscars is that you're never going up against like everything in history. You're always going up against that year.
Exactly.
So as far as
Exactly.
that year, when it comes to
what if he
everything
did
else,
the best he could with that? Mic drop.
Dude,
Right?
it's
It's one of those things. Like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
there was
Yeah.
one man with paper in the room, he'll
Right,
take
right,
that
right.
one, right? But
It's an interesting place to be, man. I agree with you.
but at the end of the day, I feel like everything about this film was a challenge to do.
Yeah.
And sure, it'd be like, oh, come on, you could have
challenge
placed
alone.
anybody in that position, and if they survived it,
Yeah.
then dude, I would like.
As better as of a quote unquote performance as Tom Hardy gives in this film,
you know why I like Tom
this
Hardy?
motherfucker almost got fired multiple times because he fought with Iñárritu to the T, dude. Like stupidly, like
Tom
badly. Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy
Oh,
was
Like
had
in
a
a bad
shitty
note? Like
attitude,
he's not
man.
gonna
Like
work
just
with him
because because they had to prolong the film, and I think he lost out on another like
Oh yeah.
DC role or Marvel role because of it. Like he lost out on the good paycheck before it, and there's a very famous picture that Tom Hardy printed on shirts for all of the crew. The only way, quote unquote, he was able to cope with shooting in these conditions for this long, et cetera, and getting in fights with Iñárritu over it, is that he choked out Iñárritu, and they took a picture of this. They took a video of this, and he put it on T-shirts and gifted it to the crew.
What?
He choked them out. There's a picture of Tom Hardy choking out Iñárritu.
Because he asked him to, or it was just.
I think it was just like Iñárritu saying like, all right, dude, take it out on me, go for it, like. Fuck it, I'm giving you shit, or we're giving each other shit. Let's just have it out.
Right.
Whatever's gonna make you feel better. And yeah, he like choked him out.
Because he's a jiu-jitsu guy too, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, there's a very famous picture. Look, that's the shirt.
Oh wow! I have seen that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I gotta get
it's
that
pretty
shit.
great. I'll say one more thing on the acting before you actually give your rating. But this is just to lighten up the mood a little bit.
Go for it.
Leo and Tom Hardy are gambling men, and they went on a bet for this film. They said, Leo said, "You're gonna fucking win you're gonna get nominated for an Oscar for this shit, dude. You're gonna get nominated for an Oscar." And Tom was like, nah, "I'm not gonna get nominated for an Oscar." They put a bet.
Here's a better picture of it.
Yeah, the shirt.
Wow.
They made a bet that if Leo won, whoever won had to get a tattoo of the winner's choice.
Oh shit!
So Leo won because Tom Hardy got nominated for an Oscar, and now forever imprinted on his forearm or on his arm here. Leo knows it all.
Oh wow!
Dude,
In
that's
Leo's handwriting.
All right, whoever gets the most Oscars right, will put their name knows right.
Leo knows it all on Tom Hardy's arm forever because of
That's-
this film. There you go. Yeah, it's in Leo knows it all. Yeah.
That's cool.
Fun fact, Castro, your rating, man.
So my rating from all that, because I really liked the film.
Yeah.
I was immersed into it.
You said you hadn't seen it since you first saw it, right? So it's kind of like good to revisit.
Yeah, and like I don't know who said it. I saw it like in unusual circumstances. I couldn't really
Okay.
remember. But from the second watch, I really, really liked it. Ah man, especially the ending. What's up with the ending, man? Did you like that?
The breath?
No, the breaking the fourth wall or looking at the camera. He was looking at the camera, right?
I didn't even remember.
Yeah. You don't remember?
You looked at the
Ah,
camera.
dude,
Didn't make an
come
impact on me again.
Well, anyway, no. There's.
forgot about
it-
I don't
okay,
know.
you know what the big thing is that Tom Hardy has a line, and it's when they're in the middle of the fight. They've already
Okay.
been stabbed and everything like that.
I was
And
trying
he
to bring
your
says,
boy
I was,
back.
I was trying to
yeah,
find
yeah,
it.
he's like, it's not gonna bring your boy back. And
Ah.
then what happens is that he looks and sees, like
His wife.
the image of his deceased wife and all that kind of stuff. And she smiles, but then she kind of walks off because she is, for all intended purposes, gone and out of his life and everything like that. And the question, I think, the stare that Leo gives to the audience is like, was it worth it? Like was the journey, the pain, the suffering? He's
Give me
about to
something
die.
better.
No, exactly.
No,
That's
no,
why I'm
below.
cringing because if that's it, I'm kind of bummed.
Yeah, my
Kind of
rating
bummed
goes
with that
down.
question.
I don't know. I don't know.
Am I
Am I
wrong?
wrong?
I don't know.
I don't know
didn't.
either.
That breaking of the fourth wall thing didn't make as much of an impression on me
Well,
as the
why-
sound design, as his breathing, because of the theme of the film. If you
Oh, I'm
still
sure-
have breath, you have it. You can still fight.
Well, it could be that
So
too.
like it was the breathing. His breathing to me did more
Oh.
than the look.
But the look was for a reason.
I think the look. If I had to guess the look, it's.
It's just there's a moment that after he looks at the wife, then the camera sits in front of him and he's just staring at the audience. They do like about a 10-second beat, and then we
Breathing.
cut to credits of breathing with the score in the back.
I think if the look itself, if it did anything, I think it's trying to have more of a spiritual aspect of it all. Because that's kind of the whole thing with them, right? Is everything is, for instance, anytime anybody important in Hugh Glass and Leo's character's life dies, there's a wind change. There's a natural
Breath in the
response.
world,
Yeah, there's a natural response. When they kill the boy, there's a wind change. There's a heavy wind in the scene. There's things things falling from the trees and stuff like that. When they kill the captain, the avalanche. So like there's this spiritual nature aspect into it all.
it wasn't like a what now? Like they didn't kill him.
It's because I
Well, I
felt
think
like
that's kind of
I
in
got
line.
my revenge.
That's kind of in line with what the law is saying, right? Like, okay, you did it. So what?
Well, he's saying,
Like,
was it worth
what now?
it? Which I
No,
kind
no,
of
no,
don't
but-
like, but it's one of those where,
it's not so much like hey,
like back in the days, like what else now? Like no more children. Like where to next? Kind of like I don't. That's how I kind of took it. And I don't like that. That's why I was hoping you guys had something
no,
stronger.
because
I thought it was I thought it was left too vague, man.
Yeah, because they let him
It's-
go.
I
and
just
it's
feel like
the
it's-
1800s. It's like
It's trying to be poetic, and I don't know. Iñárritu is better than that.
exactly. And that's
For
what I was
instance,
like.
why is the last shot? Because there's a similar shot. Why is the last shot on the Birdman more impactful to me? I don't know about you guys. For me,
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Emma Stone's character essentially inheriting her father's fucking craziness, and that was just her looking up at the sky. There's
No,
nothing
but
else.
no, but that's-
that shot is essentially similar, and that to me is more impactful than this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, since you guys didn't have anything strong for that,
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was
so I
hoping
just didn't
'cause
pick up on anything.
I
I
was
mean,
kinda
I like it's.
I'm kinda with
it's-
you.
It's left room for interpretation. I mean, you could.
I
you
wish
could
he wouldn't have
angle it-
looked at the camera.
You can angle it
No.
a couple of different ways, but
The
I
breathing was
feel
cool.
every time I feel like there's those kind of fourth wall breaks, it to me, they just feel like it's then putting something in the audience head as far as like,
Okay.
well, what do you like it's weird. It's almost like you've been watching me, but what do I think of you?
I took it like that,
Yeah.
but I just didn't get it. I was like,
It's because it's a reflection moment. It's a reflection moment in cinematography when you can have the actor look into the camera, because then it's not like a question of like, these are my actions. It's a question of like, now what did you think?
No,
You
the
know?
problem is to me
that's
is
how I
it,
took it. And it was just like,
it acknowledges the presence of the camera. It acknowledges the presence of the camera as a character.
Oh,
Therefore,
interesting.
if it's doing that, why now? Mm-hmm. Because the journey's over. Because the journey has just begun for him. His second shot at life. The whole theme behind this film too is rebirth. That's kind of literally what Revenant means.
it's not redemption, revenge.
It's kind of all of that, right? But it's the rebirth of his character, right? He loses his family. He essentially dies. He's put in the grave,
That's where I'm at. Like,
right? And then he's
what
reborn,
next?
and he didn't even really get his revenge if you really think about it.
He did.
He left it as I quote, revenge is for God, not for me.
That's why he let him go, and the other guys killed him.
But he
Yeah.
came all this way, right? And
Hey man,
kind of
if-
injured him.
If he would have killed him, they would have killed him.
Yeah, no,
No, and then-
because he saved the daughter of the chief.
that's what it was?
That's why he got let go.
That's why they
free,
showed
yeah.
her.
Yep.
Daddy, I didn't know.
Yep.
Daddy.
Yeah, that was the whole point of him like rescuing her from the rape, right?
I knew that was gonna come around. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
Then I was like, okay, that's her.
But I don't know that the look. I think if it's on the cinematography front, why the question I'm asking myself is why am I as a character, the audience member, why am I as a character being acknowledged? Am I as an observant being acknowledged?
It's a reflection of like this moment. I mean, like it's making you have to question like I don't know the symbolism of I feel like revenge and seeking revenge and like
so it's posing a question.
it's posing a question. To me, that's what it was doing. It's posing a question of like now that you've God, I want to talk about the cinematography so bad, but
Okay, well,
okay,
finish it.
wait,
Give me a rating.
what's
Yeah,
your rating? What's your rating? What's your rating?
It was gonna be an 8.9, but after no good, I'll put it at an 8.7.
Okay, 8.7.
all right, Austin.
Mr. Young.
Taro was taking a nap.
Jeez.
Joking. It's a joke.
I'm gonna cry. Why?
Why are you gonna cry?
He thinks we're panning the film.
The cinematography was the best part of the film. It really was.
Yeah,
That was
absolutely.
beautiful.
Leo didn't deserve the Oscar. Tom Hardy deserved one.
Yeah.
It's sitting like at an 8.3 for me.
Okay.
It would be below an 8 if it wasn't for the cinematography. The
This is the
plot
first-
didn't give me enough to care about, and there wasn't enough with the characters that convinced me, honestly.
This was your first time seeing it.
Yeah.
What was your rating?
8.3.
8.3.
It would be at a soft 8 if it wasn't for the cinematography.
Second time our favorite actors worked together, Austin.
Yeah.
Yours is Tom Hardy?
He's up there.
I didn't really understand. Okay.
I've
I
got
loved it.
I've got like 3. It's Adam Driver, Miles Teller, and Tom Hardy.
Oh, Miles, that was pretty good. I didn't understand his character too much. I know Tom Hardy's character.
What about him?
Was he just greedy? He just wanted to.
He's selfish.
Selfish. There
He's
was not-
selfish,
what's the
but
background
you know
on
what I
him?
picked up on this viewing that I hadn't picked up in previous screenings?
Because he had a little dialogue where he says about his past a little bit, but
Well, he has two major
He's
dialogues.
he's motivated. Sure, he's motivated by greed to an extent. I think more than anything, especially in the end, but throughout the whole picture, he's motivated by fear.
Yeah.
He's motivated by fear because he's particularly. You think that he's just making shit up, but his character development says otherwise. He's motivated by fear of
Towards the end, or-
no, the whole picture. We just don't pick up on it till the end. Throughout the whole picture, he's motivating everybody like, let's get the fuck away from the savages. Let's get the fuck away from the right. This guy is partially scalped on his head. That means he's had an encounter with them previously.
Yeah.
true.
So he's motivated by fear. We just think he's bullshitting because he's a bullshitter.
Yeah.
But what if he really isn't? What if his character is just like, all right, let's get. I'm here to make money. I'm not here to fucking
No,
endure
even
all
like,
this bullshit.
where-
Which he was, yeah.
The captain, like what he values most
It's his life.
Is his life and everybody
Yeah.
else's life.
I get that.
Like, he has that moment where he says we've lost like 33 men or something like that.
About to be 34
And,
or whatever.
yeah, and when they're running, I think Leo says like, "Drop the pelt to get to the ship," because
And
he
he's
knows
the complete opposite.
No, and then the line he says is like, "Quick, grab a pelt," and he's like, I did not come out here and almost die just so I could leave broke, and then I'll die from that.
Yeah.
And that's his whole fear. Like
He's like, I
more
don't life.
scared.
I don't have a life.
Yeah,
I have
exactly.
a living, and my living doesn't get fed if we don't sell these
See,
pellets.
that's why I like this character. I just didn't. Okay.
Yeah,
He's a very good. I'd argue that he has a better arc than Leo's character.
Oh, 100% he does.
I mean, to an extent.
To an extent. To an extent.
I
To an
mean-
extent, a villain is a villain a villain is a
Yeah,
good
this
character by
guy
nature,
is-
man. He's a juicy character by nature. It just doesn't necessarily mean his arc is better. I think,
and I like those characters.
I don't know, maybe he
know,
has a
yeah,
better
just-
arc in this. Maybe not.
It was all right. This one.
That's all right.
they're both linear. They're both linear because, like you're saying, he's motivated by fear, and it's this whole idea of
Motivated
like,
by fear.
yeah, it's this whole idea of like, one, if he leaves without the pelts, he's not going to be paid.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get paid, then he's not going to have a life after this. Like,
Even his greed is motivated by fear.
Yeah,
He's completely. This character's
like, or
completely
even like
motivated by
when
fear.
the characters leave on the boat
Yeah.
after they're like, leave the boat behind. We're just gonna trek off in this direction.
And he's like, "You're
and we're
leaving
gonna-
our safety behind." Essentially,
yeah,
you're leaving
and
our
he's
boat.
like, he says, "I should have been on that boat. Like, what am I doing here?" And the people leaving on the boat, they're not leaving because they have a better plan. They're just hoping, oh, maybe if I stay on the boat, then I'll get somewhere better upstream, and then that's it.
They're just hoping their captain is right.
Yeah. And everybody there, I mean, God, like, to be immersed in that world of like, you're just hiking through this nature, this just
Yes.
endless path where they even say, hey, we just looked up this way and it's just more mountain going up. Is there going to be anything up there?
Shit.
And when you're hiking for days
Yeah.
on end and you're just hoping one guy knows what's going on, like that's all
Like
it is.
even when they were hiking, they're like,
I love
fucking
that.
glass with this map or whatever. Like
Yeah.
they were all confused
Because he was the navigator.
He was the navigator.
By the way, to connect it with Oscar picks this year, you guys should check out Society of the Snow. Argentinian picture, Chilean picture. Technically, it's kind of half and half, and it's a true story, just like this one, and it revolves around an actual plane crash that happened back in the 70s with this rugby team.
Oh, I've seen it, man.
You've seen the film?
Well, I've seen the airplane. I've seen all those.
Yeah.
I've seen the documentary.
The documentary. Well, they made a narrative picture on it, and it's
Ooh, I
pretty
love it.
fucking good, man. Just on the survival scale, they're hiking through the Andes, snow. They're battling the
Eating,
conditions. They're cannibalism.
cannibalism.
Yeah, it's heavy, man. But it's just to connect it with, if you like the survival tale, that'll kind
a
of be
sucker for those, man.
my pick. But yeah, I don't know. I think arcs are really wacky in this film.
I'd even argue Leo doesn't even have one.
No, he does. He definitely does. Yeah, but it's very linear. It's pretty
I
standard.
think that's what bugs me about it.
That it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
He does have an arc. He definitely has an arc.
What, his body heals and that's about it?
No, he gets to avenge his kid. That's the big one. And even by nature, he gets to it as an extent avenge his wife
Yeah,
because of how his wife was killed by
and he got the respect of the
the tribes.
The tribes.
Yeah, he gets the best of both worlds, right?
yeah.
That's his character. He's in love with an indigenous woman and has to gain their respect, and he also belongs to kind of his tribe, has to gain their respect, and he does by the end of it. So it's an arc.
But
It's an
is he
arc
happy
nonetheless. Huh?
Is he happy though? He even says he's like, I got nothing to live for. Nah, me. Son,
Well,
wife,
that's-
I got-
that's
But
the
the
whole
arc
thing
doesn't
of-
have to be happy.
No, I
An
know
arc
it
never
doesn't,
has
no,
to be
but, like-
happy.
Do you think he survived?
Yeah. Oh, that's a big question that everybody asks.
yeah.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
It's good.
He got stabbed in the hand, dude. After a fight, he does. Of course he does.
after
What
getting
did
the-
Tom Hardy do to him that the bear didn't already do? And he already
Okay, look,
survived
he
that.
could bleed out because he got stabbed in the.
He wasn't that far from their camp.
Yeah, but
He's
also
clinging
it's
to
kind of
life,
like
bro.
Yeah.
the reason the reason that he like survived the bear attack was the fueling of the revenge that he needed to take on Hardy's
now
character.
he doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's like that's it. That's why you even
Oh,
see
yeah,
he's
that
so
adrenaline.
weak at the end.
Okay.
He's so like kind of just like
Let's play devil's advocate here. Is that why the shot at the end? Is that why the look? Is he looking at death in the face? Is he going? Is he going? Does he
That's
see
what I'm
his
saying.
son? Does he see his
Like,
son?
what
Right?
now?
Is he
I feel like,
rejoining his son?
It's the temptation, right? Because he sees his dead wife, and then
Yeah.
she goes forward.
Yep.
And it's like, are you gonna follow
You see,
her?
that's a better explanation for that ending, dude.
Okay.
Is he when he's looking at the wife or
yeah, and then she walks off, and it's
and
like,
then
are you
She
gonna
goes
follow
off
her?
to the next life.
Yeah.
You see, that's a way better explanation for that ending. I'll buy that.
8.9 then, yeah.
I'll buy that.
There we go. I needed something like that.
But, right? The breath thing is a huge argument for him still continuing to fight on.
No, but it stops after 3.
So,
He probably drops. That's it. He did what he came to do.
listen, do you guys want the answer? Because I have the answer.
Yes.
This is based on a true story to an extent.
Yeah.
It is based on a true story.
It was adapted from a book.
Somebody killed the bear?
No, he did. Yeah.
Wow.
No, this actually happened.
What's the original
The only
book or-
the only things that didn't happen according to historical facts,
Canteen.
no, are that Hugh Glass didn't have a son.
So what was
Tom Hardy's character, what was his name? Lexington. What was it?
No, it was Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald existed, but he was one of the 2 men that left him for dead, and that was really his revenge. It wasn't killing the son. According to historical records, Hugh Glass didn't even have a son or a wife.
It was just a revenge.
Yeah, that was an arc that the writer, that Iñárritu,
beautiful
wrote. Yeah, it was
Hollywood.
great.
Yeah.
It was Hollywooding it up. The survival aspect of it, though. Oh, man, you guys are going to hate this shit. You guys want me to break the shatter the glass for you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to read the real
The
stuff.
survival aspect, the novel, the true story, and the reason it's called The Revenant is because it's trying to tackle a story of revenge, but more so of forgiveness. In the original story, he finds Fitzgerald, and he's not trying to kill him.
What?
He asks for his rifle back that he stole after he left him for dead. And after Fitzgerald, afraid, obliges, he walks away and never talks to him again because they were friends. So the original story tackles he has so much strength to survive this shit, and he has even more strength as a character, as a human being, to not tear his head off. That's the arc in the original story. Okay?
That's weak.
In the for Hollywood, it is,
Yeah,
sure.
it's weak.
Maybe not, man. That's very interesting.
No.
It's very interesting.
No, man. If I see that shit, I'm gonna walk out and ask for a refund, dude.
No, but it's
You
it's
shoot the
an
guy.
internal
You
thi-
shoot the guy that shot you.
Well, okay, look.
That's it.
The
Eye for an eye, 2
other
for a tooth.
glass shattering thing that I'm gonna have to point out to you guys is, at least in history, he lived 10 years after that.
He did.
Yeah. So he did live according to history.
But this is not based off of the real character to that regard, because this guy went off in revenge, killed him, or I guess let God and nature and everything do the rest. And then, what happens to that character, that's left up for
Per
interpretation.
Austin's argument, I'm gonna toss this out there. You know what's funny about the arc and what's funny about the character? You don't care. You don't care if he lives or dies. Either way, it's fine.
I've been thinking about it
You don't care. Nobody
Yeah,
cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if he lives or
I
dies.
didn't care for him by the end of the movie.
You would have cared if he didn't get his revenge and then he died before.
No, yeah, for sure.
But now, yeah. If he makes
I'll
it
give
cool,
you
if he
that 'cause
doesn't make
I don't
it.
like happy endings. But yeah, I guess. So.
Anyways, I'm sorry, Austin. What was your rating?
Yeah, it's an 8.3.
8.3, and that's just where you're at with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Della O.
Mr. Shovel.
Mr. Little Shovel.
Do you want me to read off the nominations for cinematography that year?
Yes.
Okay, so it went up against Carol, which is Ed Lockman. The Hateful Eight, Robert Richardson.
Robbie.
Mad Max Fury Road, John Seal. And Sicario, Roger Deakins.
Okay.
Ooh.
Nah.
Nah, yeah, there's definitely.
Yeah.
By a mile.
By a
This
mile.
deserves it.
Oh, no, Hateful Eight?
No.
I think Hateful Eight's the only one that probably
No.
deserved a chance against it.
A very low chance. Robbie Robertson's awesome, man, and he shot that in 70 millimeter. He shot that in the same conditions on the film, but most of it was interior.
Boom, bitch!
Yeah,
Most of it
that's
was
true.
interior.
Suck his ass.
97% of this film was exterior.
Excellent.
97%.
Oh.
9.3.
Explain your reasoning.
I think I can justify, on a technical front, just like the challenge it took to make this film. And on top of that, I mean, I know that we have other films that we can base it off of, as far as like things that follow. Let's say, like we can base it off everybody's individual performances and what we might have seen from them in those more intimate settings where they were given less and maybe provided more.
Okay.
And we can also look at like the arcs and the stories of the characters and all that. And in a way, it's so funny, but I feel like the minimalism of, let's say, the story and the arc, the reason this film is so good is because it's taking something that could have been like, again, a very simple premise and using nature and using specific times of day, using the real conditions and the raw materials around them to be able to craft this. I mean, it does feel like such a gem. I mean, go ahead and like on a very like real front to try to recreate this, and for anybody else to try to take on that challenge. I mean, it's like trying to ask them to break the climbing record of like Mount Everest.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Go ahead.
Wrong.
I don't want to poke that bear anymore.
No, go ahead.
Jail.
First of all, you saw this film for the first time this year, right?
Last year.
First time ever.
Yeah.
I think you need to live with it a little longer. Okay? Second of all,
He's really big on that.
I am.
Yeah.
You guys know this. We spent an hour talking about that in the last
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly. Exactly.
I think you need to live with it. I don't think... it's because you also love nature. Yeah, it encompasses all the things you love.
So you don't
So
love
it's
nature? What the fuck?
Fuck no.
What?
Fuck nature.
By the way, I never want to go camping with Castro.
Yeah, man.
By the way,
I'm a realist.
No, you're a murderer. You're a fucking psycho.
We need to eat, right?
you're the guy that like I say like, oh, we're out of water, but I think I got more in the car, and you put like a rag over somebody's head, like, we should just make him go now before he has to deal with thirst.
I'm thirsty.
I don't like
Yeah,
this
before Austin gets thirsty, just put him out, you know? Austin, blink.
He's got, we'll eat the most if Austin goes first, man. It'll be fine. We'll make it.
No, I mean,
That's Castro.
I'll say this. I'll say this. It definitely aligns with a lot of my sensibilities.
Yes,
That
yes,
also describes
yes.
my rating. I'm working on a script right now that I wrote an opening for, and it's very similar to the opening of this. And I think it's just because I had so much to cultivate from it. Like, I mean, like when I spread apart the different elements, it really was. I took a lot from it.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
It's a two-parter.
Kind of is.
3-parter.
I got one after you.
I have a question for
Oh,
you.
so it's
Go
a
ahead.
4-parter.
When you think about this picture,
Yeah.
Just no eye contact.
I'm using context clues
Okay.
based off what you've been saying about the film since we started talking about it. It sounds like when you think about this film, you think about the battle scene at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I think about this film, that's what I think about.
No.
When I'm out and about
Nah.
thinking about this film, that's kind of what I remember the most.
It was a good battle scene, but not
No, that's not the
Yeah, no.
highlight for me.
No? What is?
It's any of the moments where they're trekking through, or any of the moments where we're pausing on a beat to see the environment around them, and then coming back to the character and seeing those things in context. A big one you mentioned was like the avalanche scene, or the moments where you see the characters where they're in the middle of a moment, in the middle of something going on in their own personal like chronology, and then they look up and the wind's changing or the moment's changing. The surrealism of like when Leo's fading in and out of consciousness and seeing these like figures and the spiritual beings coming
Yeah.
up to him. A lot of those moments that like as a cinematographer, you're deciding what moments you want to highlight, and you're deciding what ways are we going to share that, and it's trying to find that balance where you know what's on the page, and now how are we going to tell what's on the page? And looking at this one, it could have been done in a much more simplistic way.
Yeah, definitely.
The story could have not punched as hard, but it's taking these elements, the just the raw material, and then saying, let's bring out the most amount of purity from each of these raw materials, be it the acting, the environment, the camera work,
Yeah.
and in that purity, creating perfection. I mean, and not to get overly simplify it, but we talked about like Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and his idea of perfection is in its simplicity. If you can just get an object that is so perfect that it needs nothing else to complement it, it just is perfect on its own, then that's the definition of like perfection, and that's the definition of like the epitome of what everything should aspire to. And in this one, it was all these elements taken in such a way to just find what is the most perfection we can get out of the performance, the camera work, the storytelling, these moments, and how to blend all that together to finally get this final product.
What he said. What that guy said.
Yeah.
What those two guys just said.
What? Because versus what Austin's opinion is about it?
Austin's seen semi-pro, my bad.
Oh, 9.3 then.
9.3.
I love it, man.
I think
love that
I think we're looking at it. Let's say the metaphor of like climbing Everest, right? You can talk about every other person who's climbed a mountain, people who have done it faster, people who have the better materials, people
Right.
who have like made advancements. But I don't think that should dim the flame of the achievement of still climbing Everest, and I think that shouldn't dim the achievement of creating this film.
That's so unfair, man.
What are you talking
That's so
about? That's
unfair.
poetic what he just said.
No. I'm sorry, but that's like saying, no, dude. I don't think. I'm sorry, but I do have to argue against that
ahead.
point because
What part?
that's like saying anyone who can shoot under those conditions can make a good film. That's not the.
That's
That's
not
not
what
the.
I'm
That's
saying.
not the.
That's
That's
not what I'm
not the
saying.
point
No, no.
here.
That's not what I'm saying.
So what are you
Definitely
saying?
Not what he's saying.
I think that there's a lot of merit that we're just kind of saying like, oh, you know, anybody could have done that, you know, like anybody could have gone and made something better. Each of these people have done something better in their own regards. But at the end of the day, the film came out this way, and I think that there's a lot to be gained from it. A lot of perfection went into making this. You know, I mean, I don't think it's such a the way you made it sound initially, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's almost like if you gave the same materials to like any person, you would have gotten something equally as
I said that about Leo's performance, not about the film. I definitely did not say that. In fact, I applauded Iñárritu and Chivo where they deserve to be applauded.
but like
It has nothing to do with that. I said that about Leo's performance.
and the story. Yeah, you feel like through the story, like it was.
Dude, this is the hero's journey with a little bit of blood in it. There's nothing groundbreaking about the story.
Yeah, I know, but like, I mean, like, what a way to show it. So many people have like done the hero's journey and like done it in different ways, but you didn't feel like this one just really put you there. Like, I feel like
Yes, because of Chivo and Iñárritu, not because of the story, not because of anything else. Because of the immersion of the world that they created.
yeah.
Peter Jackson does that shit all the time, and I don't like him. I mean, that's I don't know. It's just
I don't know. To me, in the cinematography, and I guess what I found like really special is that
I do like Peter Jackson. I don't like Lord of the Rings. That's the difference.
like I feel like there's moments where, oh my god, how non what is it called in the moments where nobody's talking, nobody's saying anything, nothing's really happening. Just in the way that they're capturing the world, you're so immersed into it. You're so immersed into the struggle of these people and the struggle everybody's going through. I mean, I can't think of a film. I can think of a couple of films, but a lot of them come from Chivo. But very few people, I think, can achieve putting you actually there in that environment and making you feel it. You know, even documentarians, I think, will take you to like high lengths and use people talking about how difficult it is.
I just feel like cinema's constantly evolving, and we're constantly, quote unquote, you fight for this point more than. This is why I think you need to live with this film a little more, because in your palette in cinema, you're the one that's constantly arguing that we need to push the medium forward, right? And I think
there's a challenge to making this film, though. I feel like
Sure.
that's pushing forward.
I don't know that that's such an unfair like way to categorize it though, because again you're just basing it off on how it was shot and in what conditions, as opposed to the actual merit of the storytelling. Look, let me just put it to you this way: by pushing the medium forward, I think, if I saw Birdman on the cinematography front, I think Chivo, I feel, it made me feel at least, Chivo had a lot more to say in something like Birdman or in something like Tu Mamá También. As far as a director, when it comes to Iñárritu, Bardo is fucking heavy, man. And I think in terms of becoming a better storyteller, though most people didn't even give a shit about it, I think Iñárritu was a better storyteller in Bardo than he. And Bardo was more personal for him, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
What does Scorsese say? The most personal is the best. I think Bardo is a better picture, and I think Bardo is a better culmination and pushing the medium forward and collectively what we can do and where we're at in cinema. I feel like I guess I'm so used to the Mark Wahlberg did a similar picture, The Gray. Like we've been introduced to those films so much that
This one didn't feel special.
that this, not that it didn't stand out, it did, right? It upped the bar for these types of films, it upped the bar for the filmmaking of these types of films.
Yeah.
But it didn't blow my mind. It didn't make me walk away like, dude, I've never seen anything like this. Never seen anything like this. And like when I screened Bardo, I was like, holy fucking shit. This is, whoa, he did what? He's in the inside of his mother's womb? Why? The dude, it's just, I think just in terms of pushing the medium forward of narrative storytelling, he did something better for me in something like Bardo.
I guess also,
But
this
we're
is-
talking about sensibilities.
the bigger conversation is cinematography.
Yeah.
And I feel like in cinematography, the big challenge is that visually you're trying to convey emotions, you're trying to convey feelings, you're trying to convey the actor's feelings besides what they're just saying. And I guess an easy summary for how I felt about the cinematography and everything that they captured in this film is that there's a difference between an actor telling you he's cold and you thinking he's cold and you yourself feeling the cold. And I felt like with this film, you could feel the cold, you could feel the texture, and I mean, it's like, how do you do that? And how do you?
This in my top 10 cinematography.
Yeah, and I'd hold it similarly. It just I've seen
Is it my favorite?
No, but
cinematography.
No. But I mean, I've seen other films that have like they've been in the woods. They're going through extreme conditions, or they've been out in the Alps and they're filming extreme conditions.
Yeah.
Even documentaries. But there's something about this one. There's something about the magic and the moment that they created, and you could tell that was his big goal. You could tell that was Chivo's big goal of like really putting the audience in this place. I mean, something that on a technical aspect, something that's really impressive to be done, especially in natural lighting. You probably noticed that when
that's what's like the biggest sell for me.
Yeah,
but I
is the natural lighting on something like this. It's insanely impressive.
Well, they did the same thing with I forgot what Kubrick's film was, the one where they had to invent the like 0.95 aperture.
Oh,
lens.
and
what I'm talking about, right?
Barry Lyndon.
Yeah, I think it's Barry Lyndon.
They shot natural light.
Yeah.
For that entire picture.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No. Well, maybe for the exteriors, but interiors was candlelight.
Yeah.
Like motivated light in the scene.
Yeah, but I mean that's still considered like natural lighting.
Yeah, that's natural light.
That's as opposed to like artificially filling their faces.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's just, to me, it's much more impressive because you could still control candlelight. Where you put it, how far you put it in front of the lenses.
I mean, there's a
but
difference
exterior sun and moonlight,
Yeah.
you can't control that.
I'm 50-50
well,
with that.
you can diffuse, reflect, stuff like that. And I feel like with Barry Lyndon, it was a similar thing where it's like we're gonna put enough of it there to make up for the fact that we're not getting a whole lot of light.
Yeah.
But it's still that, and it's these elements that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, other people have done that, and you see it a lot in like documentary work. So I mean, what if you're gonna like applaud that? Then okay, go ahead and applaud documentary work for being able to capture environments in extreme conditions, which they do all the time.
No, but they don't capture this beautifully.
Exactly, and that's the thing. The way that they're able to immerse you into
Well,
the
maybe
environment.
some documentaries do, but not as beautifully.
One
no.
element I was going to say that's something that you see a lot of photography, and you probably guys saw bits in the film and didn't think much of, were the sun stars. It's basically like when you see the camera go through the trees, and then whenever the sun peeks out, you get this very like it almost look like little stars, little flares that would hit in there. Most of this film you could tell was shot at a very, very low aperture, and
So not letting a lot of light in.
yeah, not letting a lot of light in. That's another big challenge. You're first off, you're using natural lighting that's there, but you're really dialing it down on the camera because he wants to put you there. He wants to really, really put you there and put you in like you see every bit and texture and grain in this environment, every piece of dirt and all that. And then on top of that, most of the lens choices were not telephoto or like 50 millimeter like normal lenses. A lot of this was wide, and like the perspective you get with wide, which is really interesting, is that there's a lot more movement in the background. And that's what I noticed in this film compared to like other films. Usually with a wide angle lens, if you just sit it somewhere, you're going to get this full perspective. But when you start moving with a wide angle lens, things quickly fade out or quickly pop in. That's where you notice that when he's moving around, you can either make a character look really big or really small. And in these beats, in these moments, they knew how they wanted to control everything. I was so impressed with the way that like...
When you shoot anamorphic, it's already a challenge as it is.
But like it's this it's knowing how the lens is not only going to respond to the subject but to the environment, and how all that's going to play into the audience viewing and connecting with the film.
Sure.
I guess me as a cinematographer and as somebody who's always looking for perspectives and ways to align yourself in the world, a lot of young early cinematographers, the way that we try to really control how the audience feels and what we connect with is through depth of field. And we usually do that where we say like, oh, I'm gonna make things really shallow. I'm gonna only have this person highlighted, so that way the audience isn't getting distracted with the background and distracted with X, Y, and Z. They're only focusing on what I need them to focus on. I just need you to look at that actor and that moment and that performance, and that's it. Don't be looking over here, looking over there. The challenge is, how do you get the same amount of control and the same amount of like commanding your audience where to look when you're shooting everything with a very wide depth of field, you see everything. I mean, when you're looking at like the avalanches, things in the far background, you're connected into the world. And that's the thing. Even with that, and then with a wide angle lens where it's kind of like, oh, you look at even more, he's still commanding, and you're commanded into whatever needs to be focused on.
Yeah.
And then elements, like when you see characters a little further away, they're super small. And then when you see them like walk up to the camera, they are dominating the screen. I mean, Hardy's character, like where you would see him pop out in the background when he was going to shoot the captain, or what is his character's name? Well, just a captain, right?
Captain,
of the whole like brigade. When you see his character pop out as this little tiny element, but then as he's walking forward, instantly he's commanding more of the screen. And because of the location and the angles and all that, they were just able to put you there. And then instead of saying, okay, well, sure, we've covered the action, we've covered the sequences, we've already covered what we need to cover in this moment. Let's switch to maybe like, again, the telephoto lenses or the 50 millimeter, very shallow depth of field lenses to now cover the nature and the environment, so that way we could get these really pretty inserts. No, he stays wide, he stays sharp. And I mean, all the inserts then connect you even more. I mean, I love the inserts of the trees and just the water droplets and him trying to show you how the environment's quickly changing, and then cutting back to Leo or cutting back to any character and seeing them having to adapt to whatever's going on. I guess in the Native American culture, it really shows the interconnectivity of man's emotions and intentions with nature and the world around you. And we're always connected and we're always flowing. And this was the very few times I see the cinematography is able to connect the actors and the world together in such a way that you just feel everything breathing as one and everything's connecting. And I don't know. It's just, I guess visually, I saw so many challenges and so many ways that if anybody else was to touch this picture and touch the story, like I was mentioning earlier, you can easily think of like, I could have shot this in, 3 different angles, 3 different lenses. You shoot it tight, you shoot it close, mediums, and all this kind of stuff, and then moving on. And for the marriage of all these people coming together, performances and all, locations and all, and what they were able to get out of it, I'm just, like you said, maybe I just need to live with it a little bit more. But I see.
That's the thing about it.
But
though.
it's again,
that's the thing about it.
it's
though.
all in my
You
sensibilities.
just spent, yeah, sure about your sensibilities too, but you just spent 10 minutes talking about the cinematography,
yeah.
and nobody's arguing against you on that.
I guess to me,
Gorgeous cinematography,
to
but
me, it just
as
plays
a
a higher
whole,
role. Yeah.
Yeah.
as no, it does. It
Yeah.
does. I mean, on the visual storytelling, especially when it's something that even just on the character front, Leo's characters, Leo not having dialogue, you're having to tell the story visually. But again, nobody's arguing that the cinematography is bad in the slightest. Not really.
Just the acting.
None.
Just the story.
I think the cinematography is carrying everything on its back for this picture.
Would you almost say that the camera was its own character in this film?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it, yeah.
we were talking about that. We were talking about that earlier.
What else could have Leo done? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I gotta give him justice. I can't just be like, Kristen Bale would have done. What else could he have done better?
You tell me.
That's what I'm saying.
You think that was a strong performance? Period.
With what he had, yes. I think that was really a great performance.
Did it cap? Is that like the best we'll ever get out of Leo? Because that's also what you're saying.
And this type of film and this type of story, yeah.
No. You see, both of you are using that argument, and that's what I mean. Just because of it, of the type of film that it is, to me, it doesn't mean anything. To me, it doesn't mean anything. A good performance is a good performance, whether it's in the desert, in the fucking jungle, or in the room.
But that's what I'm asking then. What else could he have done? Since you're saying, just because
look, my favorite. I'm gonna tell you this. My favorite moments in Leo's performance in this film are when he's sharing a moment with the son or with the wife, and when he's talking to the captain about getting his revenge.
Okay.
I thought that was
What's
kinda...
the
human value of those moments to me showed me that Hugh Glass is going through this shit, as opposed to like, look,
big
if
metaphorical moments where you're just like
yeah.
walking through.
If I see, and I'm using a very extreme example. If I see Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, fucking Ramboing it up and walking around looking for his revenge and pulling out his guns and doing this thing,
He didn't have a gun.
I don't care. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did in the second one.
Who, Rambo? Oh, I don't know. Whatever. I'm using it as an example in the sense that like, I'm not really going to care about those moments as much as I'm going to care about seeing the humanity and the character that I can connect to. You know, if I lose my family and I have the opportunity to take revenge, will I take it? And more so, what am I going through in that moment, right? I think just the more humanistic moments are the ones I cared about, and they're the ones I care about in Leo's performances in general, right? When I'm seeing Wolf of Wall Street and I'm seeing how she's threatening to take away the kids after he goes to prison, and he fucking punches her in the gut and is looking for coke to just like fight that feeling, and then stealing his daughter. Like, though, I care more about that than him partying on the yacht or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even just by that standard, I think any humanistic moments that I want to see. That's why I think I appreciated his performance in Don't Look Up a lot. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people hated that performance. I don't understand why. That's why I appreciated his performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. It's the most human you see Leo. It really is the most human you see Leo as a performer. Is he the smartest, the sharpest tool in the shed? Absolutely not. In Killers of the Flower Moon, he's not. Absolutely not. But does he love Molly? Yes. Does he love his uncle? Yes. Is there an internal struggle? Absolutely. That's the character. So I care more about those moments, and I care about seeing a man trek through the wilderness to fight
Well, then we're
nature.
just talking about your type of genres of movies then.
Not necessarily. We're talking
Well, you just
about
explained
we're
that
talking about what the character's supposed to capture in a performance.
I think he perfectly captured a guy trying to get into revenge for his, he killed his son. Trying to make it through the
Let me ask you
the
something.
snowy forest.
Let me ask you something.
Just fought a bear. Just dropped
me ask
down
you something.
with a horse.
What's the difference between seeing something like that? Why do I care more about seeing like Adam Driver or Andrew Garfield in Silence than I do about Hugh Glass? Because it's all about survival.
Yeah.
It's about fear, right? Why do I care more about it? Why am I comparing in my head? Just tell me why.
Because it's
What?
the other one has to do about faith.
Sure. No, but it has to do about survival.
So, yeah.
Why
But
am I
you're saying-
comparing? Why am I comparing Hugh Glass to any performance of survival that Liam Neeson has played in his career? Because it's the same acting.
It's the same
You
character.
think so?
I think so.
Leo's with Liam Neeson? No, man. I think you're way off.
You agreed with me earlier on The Gray. It's the same shit.
No, I said it was a similar film.
Similar performance.
Not at all.
No, you don't think so?
Have you seen The Gray?
Yeah. Okay, he's grittier, but is it? I don't know.
He's not trying to get revenge on nobody.
No, but not
I
the
think-
story, Castro. The
No, I know,
performance.
the performance.
You
The
don't feel
act
like
of
you-
survival. The elements being against you. It's essentially the same performance. It's the same type of acting, isn't it?
Nah, man. The other one, with this one, Leo was just,
I think I saw more of the vulnerability coming out of like Leo's character in this one than I feel like the traditional like tough guy, I'm gonna punch my way out of it. Sure, at the end, like he was tough enough and strong enough and clever enough to survive all this
And
stuff
that's what I mean.
just to get his revenge.
That's what
but
I mean. The vulnerable moments in this film, even the moments he shared with the indigenous companion that
Yeah.
essentially saves his life. Those are great moments. But outside of
also-
those moments, I didn't care. I didn't care for the character as much.
his character? Really?
I didn't care for his
Also,
character. Why
think
was
this
I
film
more?
was more about the world than it was about.
Yes, 110%. Why do I care more about the kid character than I care about Leo's character? Not his son. The kid who's the Will Poulter character.
Bridges.
Bridges. Why do I care more about Bridges? I care more about Bridges.
Because he had more of a human arc. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
When he-
shit.
when he
I'm
left
leaving
him?
him behind. I know he's dying, but I have to trust that my leader in command is, oh, shit, I'm back here. I'm back here. I'm just struggling with this. Do I tell the captain? Do I not? There's more of a humanistic value to that. I saw this man being mauled by a bear. I want to stick with him. I'll give away my pay. There was
That's a strong character as well.
very strong character.
You know, I feel like
Leo, everything he had to
And
go
I also
through.
think even just like performance, I think that I believed him a little more.
Dude, you just said Leo had 10 minutes worth of
Of words.
yeah. What
So
else
did
could he have
Will
done?
Poulter. So did Will, or whatever his name. So I think I'm getting his name wrong, but so did Bridges. Bridges didn't have that much dialogue in the film.
Yeah, but
He
I mean,
didn't have that much screen time in the film.
I feel like
I
the
don't think
merit.
he was better. He was a great character in that one.
I feel like the merit comes.
Good little arc. Yeah, he left somebody that he shouldn't have.
I'm not saying he was
yeah, it's Will Poulter, by the way.
Will Poulter. I didn't say he was a bigger, better character. I think I just liked his arc better. I liked his character
what?
better.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like when we look at films that might have like a great story and terrible execution. We look at films that have like a
Yeah.
simple story. I'm not gonna call it a bad story, but a very simple story, but phenomenal execution. I think where this film is standing for me and is just seeing execution done so well on something that's so simple. I guess, and because the whole idea of like really the story is guy gets left behind, son gets killed. Now he has to go seek revenge and gets revenge. Like, it's very linear. That's why even when we're describing the
You
characters,
guys, because you guys are cinephiles.
Well, I
man.
think I just-
No,
but-
great
yeah,
story.
I think just
Yes,
on a
it's been told
complexity-
before.
I could care less
because
about-
to me, what I'm plotting the film and
Yeah.
what I'm so sunken into right now is taking something like this and I'm seeing the execution. But I also
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that
absolutely.
the films that we appreciate and the films that we think are just incredible. I mean, something we rated 10 was like the Before series is something that in its execution it wasn't doing anything overly like technical. But
But
on
you
the
fucking love those characters.
Yeah.
You think about those characters. You relate to those characters.
Yeah, I just
the
ca- I just
complexity.
put it in a different tier. I
Yeah,
guess.
and that's fair, dude. I mean, that's completely fair. I mean, I just feel like And again, it's a lot about preferences too, right?
Exactly.
And how we consume cinema and stuff like that. I just feel like, first of all, let's make one thing very clear. Something that you stated at the top of the episode, or maybe even before we wrote it, I don't remember. You can't get a bad performance out of Leo. It doesn't exist. A bad Leo performance doesn't exist. It just doesn't.
It doesn't.
Albeit some people think his killer's performance was bad, but I don't. I don't think you can get a bad Leo performance. I think the man's going to commit to the bit and he's going to do something fucking special.
Exactly.
Right? I connected with his character more in other films. I connected with his performance. Let me rephrase that. His
Basically, it all
performance.
comes down to preferences.
Yeah, sure.
I connected with him because I'm like, man, what would I do?
Yeah.
Would I have that strength? Would I keep going? You know, my wife's already gone. That's how I connect with those characters.
I see this more as a filmmaker than an audience
Yeah,
than an audience
exactly,
member.
exactly.
And as a filmmaker, that's where the impressive elements lie. Because
Absolutely.
For sure,
if,
for
if
sure.
you had to be Leo in this film, what hell you'd have to go through?
That's
If
an
you had
interesting-
to direct,
That's an interesting question, man.
What?
Are you seeing this as an actor? Like, man, if I acted in this role,
I'm seeing that with everything. I'm seeing the whole story,
Yeah.
his performance. Do I believe his performance as well as how would I do that? How would I
Okay.
perform there?
but as
That's
an
why I'm
audience member,
fascinated. As
What-
an audience member, I'm seeing it with everything Delo is saying. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just the way they shot it. You know,
you know what's
5
hard about
different
it?
places. You're the one that's saying, okay, it was a great accomplishment.
it was a great accomplishment.
But to me, it was the performance. I liked it because I could get
Yeah.
into that character.
I think
Could you
just
directed it?
shit, man. Probably not. Probably not.
See,
Probably not. I mean, if it was
See?
an assignment,
See,
I don't think I'd sign. I'm surprised even Iñárritu signed up for something like this, dude. If I'm being completely honest,
and why is that?
because look at his other pictures; they're much more personal than this. Birdman
That's
is
a good one.
personal as an artist, right?
That's why-
Amores Perros is
that's-
personal as a culture. Bardo is personal on like what he actually went through.
And this
This
one?
is
How is this personal?
Survival, man. We've since the
No,
beginning of
but
time
that's-
since we've been
this is
trying to
getting a story, getting a
I think it's an
very
fucking
assignment.
hunt
simple
down
story.
bisons.
I think it's an assignment. I think somebody went up to Iñárritu post Birdman Oscar essentially and said, "Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, he had signed up to direct before, but he says essentially saying, hey, you got 60 mil. You want to do this thing? You got 60 mil to do this thing. Can you do this thing for 60? Yeah, I think I do it for 60. Oh shit, we have to relocate from Canada to the south of Argentina because the snow is melting. That's gonna cost 30 mil. Okay, we're ballooning to 90. I mean, like, as a director, it's one of those like, shit. I think I can. Man, yo, Chivo, are you on in with this? You want to do this shit again? Let's do this. I don't know, man. I'm not saying that like Iñárritu sold his integrity, his artistic integrity. I think he made do with what he had. I think he did a great picture for what it's worth. I'm willing to put this film relatively low on his filmography. And again, you're right. Preference, whatever.
preference, yeah.
But for me, man, Iñárritu's best film is probably Birdman. Bardo, right under that. Amores Perros.
Yeah,
I mean, The Revenant is probably last for me
You know what sucks? I feel like
as a director.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
As a director.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to
This is
clear.
where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
maybe my intrigue and maybe the whole element of like sitting with it
Chivo?
longer.
Number 2, probably his second best cinematography and for me,
Yeah.
filmography wise. He hasn't beat it to Mamá También for me. His cinematography in Tu Mamá También is fucking gorgeous, man. I mean, just amazingly well crafted. And Birdman too. Yeah, maybe this is 3 in terms of cinematography for Chivo.
No.
For me.
You put it at 1.
Yeah, I'd put it really, really high up there.
Even over Children of Men.
Yeah, definitely.
Whoa.
Like I said, you're
Whoa.
looking at
Well, this
this.
is just-
I'm looking at this from like a pro efficiency sense.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And oh my god, like I mean, I could understand where like it's using those sensibilities, but like to the highest you
Yeah.
can get, and then like the highest amount because
Yeah.
again, think of like think of like The Whale again, or any one location film. A big challenge is that you get into these areas that you can't do a whole lot of changing when it comes to the set dressing.
I see what you're saying. You're looking at a blank canvas. You're looking at a huge canvas where I can really tell a story.
Yeah.
Right?
But I also feel like very easily you can do the exact same shots when it comes to nature. You get your big wide shots and people trekking through, and then you could keep doing that over and over again. And I've seen a lot of films where they just go out into these like nature treks, and it's always these big wide shots. Let's show the people how tiny they are.
Yeah, that's fair.
And with this one, I just feel like
it did do something unique. It did do something extremely unique. But you're saying that's the lens you're looking at it through.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah.
At the end of the day, I just feel like there's with Children of Men, I do think that there was a lot of different ways that you can like film that, and it's almost like every direction would have been unique and interesting with any of those moments throughout the script. Mm-hmm. When you look at this and you're stuck in nature and you got a bunch of guys who are trekking through and they're kind of in a similar environment, but they're not really in a similar environment.
Sure.
And you're trying to think of all the different ways that you can kind of film this, but not to show how the environment's tolling on them, but how they're connected to it all. Extremely unique, extremely challenging. And again, this one I'm looking at it more as a filmmaker, and that's where that's where I'm the most impressed, because I feel like as an audience member, and, not to talk down to any audience members who don't have a perspective on film, but I feel like there's a lot of ways to easily impress an audience member. Look at all the Marvel films
And
that
I think
easily impress some
that's
people.
how we should look at it. We should all take off our hats of whatever it is and just see it as an audience member.
No, but I mean, if I look at it as an audience member...
We can't, because we know what goes into making the sausage, dude.
I know, but see,
when we're talking about Oscars, man... We're not talking about audience members.
Nope.
Because my dad's complained multiple times, hey, I loved Iron Man. Why didn't that win an Oscar? Why did this other dumb French film win an Oscar?
Really good pizza. You're like, that director, that chef sucks.
You know what? But the problem is...
pizza was good.
The problem is we're chefs. We're the ones making this stuff. We're not the guys just eating now.
No, you're right.
Look, you guys got to take off
Castro, it's like you go to this like fancy family-run Italian restaurant, right?
Right.
You have the best spaghetti meatballs you ever had.
Exactly.
The next day, somebody's like, hey, let's go to Olive Garden.
Uh-huh.
What are you going to think when you have the spaghetti at Olive Garden?
That's a weird... No.
I reject your hypothesis. No. But the law's right. When we're talking about, quote unquote, when we're talking about comedy month, sure, whatever. We're talking about Oscars?
Oh, okay.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
because
that's
por
true.
si,
That's
as
true.
it fucking
That's
is,
true.
the Oscars are degraded to a fucking big ass commercial now.
Yep.
So no, we can't allow for. Yeah, it was fun and the trees look pretty in the snow. No, I'm sorry. No, there has to be. We have to highlight the merit, and we have to, in our best judgment. We're not the most well versed guys in the world when it comes to this, but we have some. We have some ground to stand on
For sure.
to say that. Yeah, we're filmmakers.
know?
We have to talk about it
And,
as cooks in the kitchen. To some extent.
And that's the thing. We're not just filmmakers who are like, oh, like I'm a filmmaker, but I haven't made anything. Like, no,
Right.
we've done our share. We've all made our films.
You tip
and we've
your
all
hats. You tip your hats to what you know they did that you potentially
you
either
just place your hat down and just watch.
Because you know what? I'll say this. When I watched this film and then I was talking about it with my family and all that, they didn't care about it. They were like, oh, I just know that Leo fought a bear and that's pretty cool. And like that's kind of it. But like they didn't watch that. They probably watched whatever Marvel film came out that year. And they were more excited about that. And then my father was complaining like, why is it that Avengers isn't getting an Oscar? Like, hey, that one, it was like the most what is it called? Like the highest grossing film of all time, and that's not getting an Oscar. Like,
Dude, like when
the Oscars are rigged. And
when
it's like, no, dude.
Endgame and Black Panther came out, everybody was like, "Oh, those have to win! Like they were the best films of the year."
And that's the thing. It's like if we look at it as an audience member, then we're just gonna be like, oh, what gave me the most pretty colors and what made me have so much fun.
There's
No,
just so
no,
much.
see,
There's just so much oversaturation of content in
Dude,
the world
like-
in the world right now.
To me, this film was about a guy surviving, trying to get revenge.
Survive. Respect.
And I got lost
That's how
in it.
Castro is right now. Respect.
I got lost in it. I wasn't thinking about the camera crew behind Leo. I wasn't thinking about what lens. I got lost in it.
I got
wa-
lost in
You got
Dude,
lost in the sauce?
I got
Look,
lost in
I'm
the
gonna throw this
sauce.
out there. I'm gonna throw this out there. I think I've gotten to
And
a
then I
place,
put
and
my head
I'm
on for
willing to
acting.
say the same about all of you in this room. Including you. You see what I did? I just pulled a Leo. I'm looking at the camera. It's a commentary. I'm talking to the audience. No,
Dick.
Asshole.
I'm willing to bet. Look,
Not
I'm
going
willing
home
to
with
bet
you
that we've
tonight.
developed our palette in cinema enough thus
For
far.
sure, for
Wait. We've developed our palette in cinema thus far that we can view it as both. That we can discern which lens we're looking at it
Well,
through.
y'all leaning a little too.
I'm not really leaning on the filmmaker side as much as I'm leaning on the audience side, who's a little more well versed in story.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like, and not just story, but just everything. As an audience member, this contains a lot more merit than most stories out there today.
Yeah, you're the guy that
You-
goes to a pizza restaurant, be like, "Who's the chef tonight?"
Absolutely.
The fuck. the fuck out of here.
Hold on. What
you know-
pizza place has a chef?
Shit.
Some
No,
Mexican
but
guy in
I
the back.
just like.
We're
Jose's back there
Yeah,
tonight.
we're gonna double shift.
Hey, but
If we're-
Jose
if
may
we're
be a better fucking filmmaker than
Exactly!
Ron Noir or whatever,
I don't
you know.
I just I think
Exactly.
the way I feel
It's
about
whatever
this,
the
staying with
product
the
is.
pizza analogy, like
But y'all
I've-
got it. Y'all got it.
yeah.
Right?
You got it, man.
You got
Yeah.
it. You got it.
No, I just feel like staying with the pizza analogy. Like, I've gotten to Domino's and I've gotten all the toppings and it's great and all that kind of stuff. But then I've also gone to that one place that uses 3 ingredients and it's been the
Pizza
best
joint.
thing I've ever had in my entire
House of
life.
Pizza.
And we're not,
I'm okay. I'm following
dude,
this.
we're not getting any like sponsor revenue. Go ahead, name drop whoever you want.
Look, dude.
But like I've
That's a
been to
good
those
analogy.
places, and to me, I feel like when I'm looking at this one, it's the 3 ingredient pizza that's hitting
I
the
wanna
spot.
use one more example,
really good.
food related. Today for lunch,
put
some
some pizza
coworkers
related
and
to
I
it.
were like, "Oh shit, we've been craving a burger. Let's go fucking find a good burger." And we're pretty close to Crave, and we're close to Applebee's, and we're close. And one of my coworkers, "Oh, I think Applebee's has a good burger special. Right? Let's just go to Applebee's." And the whole time I'm telling him, "Man, dude, there's fucking like Chuco burgers right there, and Panda burgers kind of up the street." But dude, the best burger place in town fucking closed. What was that? That was Bold Burger.
Oh,
Bold Burger. Bold Burger was the best fucking burger
I thought it
place
was
in town.
Bofa.
No, it was.
Wait, Castro, have you had
Well,
Bofa?
maybe
Did you have
Castro has-
Bofa burger?
Which one? Which one?
Bofa.
Bofa
No,
Burger.
no.
Bofa Burger. No?
I've had both.
Like when both of these nuts fit in your mouth.
hey, timestamp that.
No. Bold Burger. Bold Burger had to move to 2 locations, kind of sort of made it through the pandemic, and then fucking
I
closed
already
because
see where this
nobody
is going.
cared. That's the point here.
That's cinema.
Applebee's is going to survive. Crave is going to survive.
But
right?
Bofa?
But Bofa. No, but Bold Burger didn't because nobody fucking cares. And it's a better burger, and it's got better people making the burger, and nobody gives a shit, and then they close the place, and we can never have Bold Burger.
Better ingredients.
Better bitches, better money.
better cinema,
My
better
clothes better, my
Someone sponsor us, please.
My camera's better, my knowledge is better.
I'm just saying, man, it's the same thing. People aren't paying attention to the best small places because you're so focused on going to fucking McDonald's for the 100th time.
Because fucking McDonald's is because sometimes the chef makes some good ass fucking
What
bomb burgers.
chef is at McDonald's, bro?
What mayonnaise?
What
What
burgers?
No, you
bro.
know what? It's just like, oh my god.
No, I know.
No more comparisons. That's just,
you know
this
what?
is where
No,
we're
I know
at.
what you're
It's
saying,
kind of
bro.
like when you get a really good sausage.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just like you guys are afraid
Support
of
the Bold Burgers of the world. What?
Yeah.
Taste the Bold Burgers of the world before
Taste
you go
the
to
rainbow.
We
But
have
don't
the
hate on
meats,
Domino's.
okay?
Just don't hate on
Eat
Domino's.
fresh,
Don't
baby.
hate on Domino's.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
loving it.
Final ratings. We're at 2 hours.
All
Wait,
right.
is anybody else with me that they're just waiting for Will Poulter at some point just to be like, you guys are getting paid for this?
I know, right? He gave up his pay, so.
Oh,
9.3.
By the way, this was the first film where I thought, this kid's got it. Because I was so used to We're the Millers. Then he does this. Every film he's done after this has been
oh
fucking-
yeah, he's gotten way better.
Will Poulter's gonna...
I
do
felt
something
that
now.
way after
Which one was the one we just saw?
Maze Runner?
Midsommar.
Oh, Midsummer.
Yeah.
He did good.
Midsommar.
Midsommar, I mean,
Dude, he
you
had
know,
a great little arc in The Bear.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I like him, man. He's good. He's good.
So 9.3 stays.
9.3. I mean, I'll say this, and you know, it's for everybody. I mean, like, I have trouble actually going back and watching a lot of the Tower cast and my rating on films because Hold
on, we rate films on Towercast?
the WatchTower. Towercast, we rate our guest behind their backs. No.
We've had some low scores.
And you know who you are.
Eric Sanchez.
Oh, God. No, the WatchTower.
Film podcast.
Film podcast, not a
For film
sponsor.
lovers.
Bye, cinema lovers.
For cinema lovers.
Welcome
we had
back.
the meets. No, for that, like, what going back and watching the old films that we've rated and my ratings that I put on them, it's always hard because we all mature. We all mature as even audience members, as storytellers.
Sure.
I mean, that's where you see people that even if they're not filmmakers, they get fatigue. Oh man, I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and one of the saddest things to hear was right now she's taking a film appreciation course, and she's like, I get it, but I hate movies. And she was like,
What?
I just absolutely hate films. And I was
Shut your dirty mouth,
Yeah.
Bilal. Don't repeat that again.
No, and
Don't even say your name, man.
no, and she was telling me how basically she came to that consensus after watching Citizen Kane, and she was
Oh,
like,
dear God.
yeah, and she was like, I've
I'm out. I'm
Podcast
done.
over.
No,
It's over. We're done. It's over. Thanks for
No,
watching.
and-
We're never doing this again.
You know what the challenge is that like as we mature as filmmakers and our palette matures, I mean society also matures and what they're looking for is different, and that's always
Society
a challenge.
matures is a,
Yeah, it's
a
a little,
strong
yeah.
statement.
I mean,
getting
okay,
dumber
not
by the
matures,
day.
but society does change,
Yeah.
And what we were looking for before isn't the same as what we're looking for now. And
I do have a theory, man, that like the oversaturation of that in society is because when it was the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, whatever, up until the 1990s, really, you had no choice. You either go
enjoy
or
die.
Wherever we're
I mean, you and even when you're at home, you're watching a film on TV. You're forced to that. You can't. You got 5 channels to choose from, buddy.
Yep.
I mean, like you were kind of like.
Unless the president was talking, then you couldn't watch anything
Then you
else.
couldn't watch
the
shit.
worst.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if people were like, okay, you had your options. If you didn't go out on dates or
President, I love how you pointed at us. Just like, what if the president's watching?
Dude,
Shut
my
up.
dad reminds me that all the time. He's like, growing up, we had 4 channels, but if the president was talking that night,
you had no
you had
channel.
nothing to
But
watch.
dude, like Scorsese talks about that all the time, even in his upbringing.
I don't like
I mean,
movies
there was
anymore.
50 years worth of cinema when he was a kid, and he says that most of the films that he was exposed to was either going to the theater with his dad or seeing them on TV, seeing quote unquote what we will call reruns now of films on TV.
Yeah.
And because of that, you were forced to get exposed to a film,
Dude,
whether
like
it was
the-
a good film or a bad film. You were
That's
going to be
true.
exposed to both.
The Turner Classic Movie Network was
Yeah.
just the movie network. It's crazy, right?
But
It
I
was just Turner movies.
it's just
It's just movies.
movies. But
have the
now
movies.
there's so many options, dude. There's so many shitty options.
Shitty options.
That
Like
you
FX?
no, not just the FX.
has the movies.
Yeah, dude.
But there's so
It's always
many.
Sunny's on that. Come on.
No, and then with like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a really, really, oh my god, like double-edged sword place in society right now. At least for us, with streaming. And I'll make a very small point on it, and then we can kind of like finish off the
Yeah.
podcast. But like this whole idea that for us as filmmakers who are trying to break into something,
Yeah.
streaming presents like, whoa, there's like a new gold mine where now my work can actually be seen and it can be put out there because they're asking for new perspectives and new stories so they can support these platforms.
I prefer the old forum, man.
But then with with that, there's so much being just shoved out into like the ether now. That now you look at like all these films and oh my god, I can't tell you how many times I've gone on streaming and seen trailer for a new film after new
I
film.
prefer
and
the
I'm like,
old
I care
forum.
about none of these.
Yeah,
Like
I prefer the old forum of, and this isn't just Carlos has an old soul and he prefers whatever. No, this is me. Like I prefer the old forum of allowing the audience to dictate if a film is going to have a chance. If we put up a film and the studio believed in it, or the financiers or whoever, and it's put up in 3,000 theaters across the world, and it only stays there for a week, okay, fine. The audience made their choice. But I don't want to allow the algorithm to determine if my
which
film
is-
is gonna be at the top of the Netflix rating.
Yeah.
No, man, it's just a weird
So,
fucking way to dictate shit, man.
we
Yeah,
can
it's so
find
weird.
good films.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where again, Oscars are one of the few ways that we're able to hold on to
A version of that.
A version of that.
Yeah.
That we are deciding collectively what deserves merit and not just what had the prettiest colors and appealed more to nostalgia than it did on actual like filmmaking ability and all that. So I hold on my rating. I don't know if
Same
you guys
here.
hold on your
Yeah,
rating.
8.9. I'm still good, man. Iñárritu is a fantastic storyteller, man. He's young enough to where he's still going to be able to make a lot of statements in his career. But he's also kind of in that. He's quote unquote J. Cole, a middle child. You know what I mean? He's been around enough to be able to be a great for a lot of the younger filmmakers like us.
Good comparison.
But he's still got hopefully a lot of life left in him to where he's going to tell a lot of amazing, compelling stories. I hope he stays in the personal route. I hope he stays on the personal route. I really do. It's just like Del Toro, just like Cuarón, man. Cuarón made a Harry Potter film. Del Toro made a Pacific Rim. I mean, like, whatever, man. It's all
Pacific Rim.
fine. It's all fine and dandy, right? Like, you're gonna make your studio pictures. You're gonna make your bigger pictures that are gonna, grab an audience. But I hope for their 20-year-old version's sake, when they were breaking into the industry and they were trying to tell, compelling personal stories, I hope for that the memory of them, that they hold on to that dream a little bit. They continue to make amazing stories just with bigger resources, right? Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan said something earlier in the week that I thought was really great, and I applaud him for it. They asked him, "Are you going to continue to make big pictures? You're going to continue to make big scale pictures?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, because there's filmmakers that I know would kill to have the resources I have to make a film, so I do it for them. I do it because now I have the resources. I can still tell the compelling stories I can tell just with bigger resources." So it's a very special thing to acknowledge. Iñárritu's at a place where he's probably not going to get a film turned down. And I just hope he makes the right choices moving forward. I think he did that with Bardo, man. I think Bardo was a fucking beautiful picture that I do want to talk about on this podcast at some point.
Well, Castro, did your rating change at all?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. I'm not gonna get bullied by you guys anymore. I'm gonna change mine to a 9 because I really got immersed into the story. I really loved it. The acting was great, both by Tom Hardy and Leo. I got lost in Leo's character.
Got lost in the sauce.
I got lost in his sauce, bro. Whoa, hold on.
Hold on, let's timestamp that.
Yeah, please, I got lost in the sauce.
You, Austin, any rating changes?
No.
All right,
Next week we're continuing our Oscar.
I really.
Are you going to stick to your choice?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're continuing Oscar month with the next film.
Jeez,
Damn.
we're going to be talking about our acting kind of choice. Mr. John Eric Castro
Yes,
has
I am
Thank God we're
chosen.
past the cinematography chapter.
Yeah, go for it. Milk,
What does
milk
that
it.
mean?
Milk it
Dallas
as much
Buyers
as you
Club
want.
cinematography is pretty gorgeous too.
Yeah, it is.
We're doing Dallas Buyers
We're doing
Club.
Dallas Buyers Club. We're going to tackle Mr. McConaughey's performance, Academy Award-winning performance. Phenomenal. Who directed the picture? Ang Lee? Or
Was it?
no, who was it? Who directed Dallas Buyers Club? Tom Ford? No, not Tom Ford.
No.
Ang Lee, maybe?
I don't know.
Jean-Marc Vallée.
Well, we're ready to see that film.
Dallas Buyers
gonna
Club.
press
Stay
on.
tuned.
His Canadian. He's also did Demolition, Crazy.
Demolition with Jake
Wild.
Hooker.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wow.
Awesome.
By the
Hey,
way, your
personal
boyfriend's having a film come out this year.
Who's my boyfriend?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, is it Ambulance or whatever?
No, it's Roadhouse.
That was like 2 years
Roadhouse.
ago.
Dude, Roadhouse
sorry.
with Conor McGregor. And he does
It
a
actually
pretty
looks
good
pretty
job.
decent.
Yeah. Usually sports
But
guys.
the
Marketing is horrible, but
yeah,
it looks
did you
pretty
hear
good.
about all
Why
that?
is it marketing horrible?
Because they're appealing to nostalgia, Castro, to the old Roadhouse or what the fuck. You know what's funny? Eric,
What's wrong with that?
Eric
We
says
don't have time.
we don't have time to break that one down, buddy. Eric says, dude, I screened.
Roadhouse.
Who's the original actor?
Roadhouse.
The guy from
Patrick
Swayze.
Patrick Swayze. Said it's the worst film I've ever seen.
Oh, it is.
So why are you defending it?
But it's
No,
just,
but on top of that, the director's boycotting the film. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
Because Prime is refusing to put it in theaters.
That's right.
Wow.
what?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad that it's so good. It's one of those films.
Well,
Like, it's so cheesy.
anyway, but we're doing
Dallas Buyers Club.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Which is not bad that it's good. It's just really good.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. We also know our editing pick, unless Mr. Young changes
We'll
his mind.
announce it next week, no?
Yeah, keep the audience guessing.
I was trying to give them something to look forward to.
Okay, then give them
But,
something to
all
look forward
right.
to.
We are Dallas Buyers Club. Stay tuned for Dallas Buyers Club next week. Let us know. We're still kind of trying to decide what we're going to choose for Best Picture. So if you haven't, an opinion on that,
I thought we already decided.
on Best Picture.
Because of the Tower Cast guests that we're getting.
Oh, maybe.
Well, if it
I
happens,
can't announce that yet.
Yeah, we
but
can't.
That's how you leave it in cliffhanger.
yeah, I can't announce our guest next, but he's awesome and it'll be a lot of fun.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching.
There's a
And the film editing pick's gonna be.
Love you guys.
And then
announced next week. Thank you. Good night.
Tower Cast guest is gonna be.